VESL is back, better than ever, and with Rainbow Six Siege for the first time. Time to light that right there as Klimps. We've got an R6 single standalone tournament ready for you here and now, and for, like I said, the first time in VESL. I gotta say, Mason, I'm pretty excited they finally brought in Rainbow Six. I've been pestering like 9 people who work for VESL for a very long time to bring in this. We've got Counter-Strike down the line, Overwatch as well sometime in June. Be prepared for a lot of, we'll say, new tournaments to the VESL scene, and in Overwatch's case, a fairly common one.
Yeah, I'm very thrilled to see high school esports really taking off, especially in North Carolina,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Awesome to hear. I wish that we had something like that back at home where I am, but of course that's not quite the case. Plus, I'm a little bit past that time now, but it'd still be fun to at least watch and invest. I think the last time I did a high school event was like a year ago, so it's been a little bit since I've done a high school event. But I'm excited to watch these players take off. We've got some very creative names in the lobby,
Yes,
so that always keeps
great.
things fresh and fun. And so I think that that'll allow Dan and I to have an even more enjoyable time here as we bring you guys this match.
Yeah, so to outline a few things, number one, follow us on social media. Here on YouTube, we've got Twitch streams as well with regionals coming up this weekend for 2 other regions outside of what was Greensboro and Charlotte, I believe they were overtime. We've got some shorts going on the TikTok, shorts on YouTube. Of course, follow the X for continuous updates, or Twitter, because I'm not calling it X, I don't care. And of course, the Instagram for some fun pictures and videos. Also, if you'd like to and you feel courteous, follow us too at TTLcast at Clips, because he's original and he didn't have to add cast at the end of his name.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm not,
for some
I'm not lame like you.
for some context for this, for all of you unfamiliar with VESL or maybe unfamiliar with the North Carolina high school scene, the North Carolina Board of Education has fully funded a company like VESL to take over a third-party action of all high school esports across the state of North Carolina. This is specifically for high schools, not for colleges, anything similar to that, and the high schoolers themselves don't have to pay to play, which is amazing. They can also enter these tournaments like Rainbow Six, like Counter-Strike down the line, like Overwatch as well, for free. This is a very nice thing for people to just have accessibility and to be able to play video games against people who are fairly closely located to them, because they can run regionals and states like they are the last weekend, like they will next weekend, and like they will in 3 weekends time from now.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that schools can then invest that prize money that they're able to return on, right, into their own students and into their own esports programs, right? Continue to grow the scene that we all love so much. I come from the collegiate side of esports and talent and stuff, right? That's where I really got my start here in the esports scene, talent-wise, all that stuff I played throughout my 3.5 years that I was in school, graduating a little bit early, of course, but it is nice to be able to see high school start to also take in that esports scene for money, for competitiveness, and I hope to see it grow and become bigger and better than ever, so that we can start to see it almost become like real sports.
It would be nice. It would be nice to see a feeder system through there. It would also be nice to see some regulation on eligibility and not see 9-year college students. I'm at as old. That's all I have to say. Moving into
Poor
at
guy
least
is done.
that's a stray. It's an Akron University reference for all of you who may or may not follow the collegiate esports scene. But for this event alone, we've got 6 separate groups: 3 in the PC scene, 3 in the console scene. Unfortunately, we don't have console observers, so we're only streaming the PC side of things, and it just makes things a little bit easier to follow at least that side of play. There's $15,000 in prize pool to be split between the 2 sides. Today is group play. Yesterday was also group play, but we didn't have that stream. Tomorrow will be the bracket side of things. Today, of course, we've got 3 separate groups for you, as previously mentioned. We'll start things off in group number 2 with Noble Academy against Golf Wang Love Them All, or just Golf Wang, as they will be forever known as. That is a name of all time here, Mason. We've got some names of all time in the game as well. We'll kick things through to the game, but Oregon is our first map of the day.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think Oregon, kind of a staple map, right? Everyone knows how to play Oregon. Map. The meta maybe a little bit defender-sided as well. It shifted briefly into an attacker-sided meta, and then it kind of has started to settle back down now that teams have gotten accustomed again to the wealth of flashbangs that are available to many operators. And Jackal being banned off the board is kind of a surprise, only because it's kind of an expected ban here on Oregon. And sometimes, especially for someone like me, who's very, very involved in the comp scene, right, and dives into something that's new for them, right, like the high school esports territory, to see bans like Jackal, Ying, and Fenrir, all bans that you see relatively often in Pro League and in competitive play, is very, very heartwarming. It's very good to see. It makes me feel at ease, and like I'm not watching some stray match of like a bunch of silvers running around. It's going to be a really good match, at least from the telltale signs of the bans.
Yeah, we do get a little concerned on the casting side when people start banning like Blitz and Monte. And they start regularly just banning out nobodies. That's when we start to have problems. But at least the early indications will tell us we should have a good game in front of us. Now, I was talking about some fun names in the overlay. Talk about some fun names here. We've got Playboy Cardi R6, I Have No Idea .R6, Max Verstappen R6, they're gonna win already, Adam Sandler R6, and Jim Carrey R6. Alongside, on the opposite side of things, Antarctic Banana, Trigger Warning Pegasus, Dempsdog, Barcode, and Tower.
Yeah, that's a mouthful of names. We've got a mouthful for sure. But I'll say that these are some of the most like creative names that I've seen. Personally, maybe just a little bit for myself, I'd like to see Noble Acad step out and do really well, because I want to continue saying names like Max Verstappen while casting R6. Unfortunately, though, not playing like a 3-speed. I feel like that would be like the home, right? I feel like Max Verstappen can only play Ashe. Like that should be just the rule, right, Dan? Am I wrong in thinking that? I think that has to be a rule. If your name is Max Verstappen,
imagine somebody named themselves Daniel Kvyat and they played Blitz. Just torpedo their way through everything.
Exactly. See,
that's a great F1 reference, by the way.
That is a very good reference. It took me a second to like catch it. I was like, yeah.
Well, if you're unfamiliar, look up
in the lobby.
Daniel Kvyat, F1 or torpedo or something.
You'll get a good idea. Well, it seems like a very heavy, big window focused attack, right? You've got 3-4 players over here spawned on this south side of the map, but there's a clash very nearby, and everyone from Golfwang seems to be kind of near this big window side, so they seem to be ready for this rush. And Antarctic Banana can spot all of these players out on the big window and can already alert to their team, hey, there's a lot of pressure here. We've got to be able to defend pretty well, and you can see Depps already looking to try to hold out against these long angles. Since the ROUs already being deployed, maybe a little bit early on, but trying to aid some lines of sight here for Playboy Cardi to at least get a pick or two to any defenders that might catch themselves off guard here.
I like the usage of the ROUs. At least that's a good start. It seems like they have a discernible decision to make. They've got a couple smokes up. They're playing the Glaz. There's a TK and a kill, so Tower is 0 for 2 on that one, and it seems like everything's starting to go the way of Noble Academy. Antarctic Banana is sitting inside of Track Stingers and somehow not dying to them. And they're being flanked because there's a buck walking up main stairs that nobody decided to point out. Pegasus is sitting in the backside of Kids, not doing a heck of a lot that they can otherwise, and Jim Carrey casually picks up their second. Antarctic Banana also playing with the P10C. There's a better pistol you can play with, even if you were going to play on the Clash, but this is not going to be a good round for Golfwang. There will be a kill, no flawless round to come through, even a second, but Jim Carrey will pick up the confirmed trade and the round for Golfwang. Or Noble Academy, the other side.
And yes, Noble Academy, which is also really good for them, right? Getting as many attacks built up early on Oregon attack just makes it easier as the map goes on. And then when the sides swap at the 6-6 mark, right? Once you've played 6 rounds, then the team swaps sides, right? Noble Academy will take the defensive place, while Golfwang will be on the attack. And maybe you could argue that at this level of play, attack might be a little bit more of an advantage, right? Because you might be able to bring some off-kilter strategies that can throw your opponents off guard. Clearly, that was the case there in the last round. Noble Academy just putting a lot of pressure on big window, but also little bits of pressure elsewhere, right? A little bit of phantom pressure, opening some of the windows, opening some of the doors, and then just finding your way inside. That team kill was very detrimental to Golfwang on their own right. Tower, unfortunately, taking one of his own teammates, and then his own life was swiftly replenished, right? And so, Golf Wang did not look too hot in that round. Hopefully this time around, though, we'll be able to get some of more of those bear mats set out. It looks like the Frost of Demps last time around wasn't quite able to get all of those bear traps out and deployed, which could have been very helpful when it was the clash in that 1 versus 5 with a couple of members jumping in through that big window. So you'd like to see maybe a little bit more of a defensive effort, right? Focusing on that big window, establish some longer angles, make some more shotgun holes, maybe even play vertically. On big window is a very common strategy in the higher levels of competitive play, right? To go downstairs in the security, make those shotgun angles, those vertical lines of sight are very strong, especially at this level of competitive play where it might take a team a long time to realize, or maybe even make the mistake that they don't actually check anyone is downstairs.
So, second opportunity for Golf Wang to defend the top floor. The problem is they didn't even recognize that the east side of the building existed last time. Hopefully they will this time around, but look how much is being set up on this side. Even with the opening kill from Playboy Cardi through their own smoke, by the way, Glaz does indeed exist. You've taken out the frost mat, you now know at least where one extra player is, and you still have the second prong of that dual-pronged attack being set up. Now, it does seem like that position's being noted this time, and it is indeed taken out. Nice shot from the barcode to drop down Jim Carrey, no laughing from distance for the Grinch. But still, Playboy Cardi to find a follow-up because they don't respect the smoke mason. There they go.
Oh, barcode with an excellent shot. Nice long angle. This is a better defense already out of Golf Wang. No team kill, of course, does help out at least a little bit in that favor. But you can see that Noble Academy this time around going for that same strategy, and it's not quite as efficient as their previous attacking attempt. You've got a couple of members still inside of the kids' dorms room. And you've even got Pegasus extended over towards top main, so really solid defensive prowess, right? All over the map, spreading their wings as much as possible to try and get at least yourselves into a retaking position should Noble ACAD try to jump on inside. It looks like it's a clear of small tower, potentially thinking that there's a threat from behind. But Barcode on for their third kill of the round as Max Verstappen tries to speed his way up the white stairs, but there's a castle barricade stopping him, but with no Rotero RCXD drones, it's going to be significantly harder to get through that castle barricade.
The question is, where do you go from here? At this point, Max cannot get up from the bottom floor, or Adam Sandler can't. We're being confused by overlays. There we go. No, it is Adam Sandler who went all the way around? Okay, Max Verstappen rappelled up, and then Adam Sandler dropped down and around.
They traded spots.
They swapped positions. They're like, hey, one of you go take this. And I don't know why. At that point, Max Verstappen would have been able to start meleeing the castle barricades, so it does seem like Adam Sandler either has to play vertical or try and play through the bottom side of that castle barricade, but there's a spray from distance. The Doc cannot get the stim off in time, at least not to save their own life, so it is down to a 2 versus 2. The problem now, there's only 10 seconds remaining, and Adam Sandler's on the far side of the map. Sound Q could be there for Pegasus, but as they walk through, does the Valkyrie stay alive? The answer, absolutely not. But now Antarctic Banana inside of kids' dorms can just patiently wait. 2 seconds of the clock. Adam Sandler needs to start to lock in this defuse. With a smoke up and track stingers down, there's a possibility to lock it through. And Antarctic Banana, there's the red herring of the smoke grenade from distance. It allows Adam Sandler to get the smoke down, hide themselves in the corner of games, and now play for the post plant. Antarctic Banana with no information, no lines of sight, and no cameras remaining on top of the site makes this a much more difficult clutch, especially as he now walks in from a completely different position. Adam Sandler has not moved a muscle, has not twitched an inch, but seemingly their position is still duly noted. A sound cue made. Adam Sandler moves ever so slightly, but in through the track stingers. Antarctic Banana will be shot down, and it is Noble Academy to escape with a second round.
Excellent attack at the very end. No time left on the clock. And Golf Wang just let their opponents walk inside. I don't know how they let that happen, right? All they had to do was stay alive. There was nearly no time on the board.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that smoke very well placed by Adam Sandler, confusing their opponent that the defuser was actually going down in that main default plant spot over by the foosball table. Now, that's typically the plant spot that we'll see when a team goes for a master-oriented attack, right? They open that master bedroom wall, and they just run in and plant default in that spot. But Noble ACAD deciding to go with that big window take may have caught Golf Wang a little bit off guard. That smoke obviously does go through walls, especially wherever it's placed.
It still shouldn't.
It'll propagate at least a little bit further. I agree. I don't think that smoke should have that type of curvature. It'd be really nice to see the smokes get changed to something like CSGO, right, where it actually moves with the environment, but I know that Siege is on a little bit older of an engine, so it makes it more difficult to achieve stuff, right? So, that being said, Noble Acad, 2 rounds on attack, 2 victories. Very unheard of on Oregon. So Golfwing really have to get themselves back together here on their defense. And they'll go down to the basement, probably the best site to go to here on Oregon. But there's no extension into elbow. Very atypical of how most teams like to defend this site, right? You've got all of the tarps walls barricaded off. And you've even got elbow barricaded off. So this is going to be a heavy bunker face defense here by Golfwing, and that kind of gives free reign to going through blue as Adam Sandler storming his way across the map on the Montaigne. I don't think there's a more perfect operator for Adam Sandler to be on.
So do I.
I think that Montaigne, like, yeah, I think that Monty is just the best operator for an Adam Sandler.
So, one thing to note is Noble Academy have completely swapped up their secondary utility. The previous couple rounds they were playing with smokes across the board. Here, they are bringing 6 secondary hard breaches alongside just the ROUs for vision obfuscation, which means that Golfwing's going to be able to see a lot more than they would have been able to otherwise. And with that, I have no idea, is just going to throw out one of those few ROUs they have and put down a hard breach charge on the far side of elbow. This is now the opportunity for them to get it if they want to. There's a mute jammer on the bottom side of that, so they will have to EMP it, and they do so successfully. That should be the hard breach charge going off, and it is indeed. There's also a free kill for them. If you stand up, there it is.
Oh.
Goodbye, Demps Dog. Max Verstappen, a screaming shot around a corner. Seems like he's in an F1 car once more.
Oh, and for 2,
Another?
the Nitrocell, a little bit weak. A little bit of a limp arm there from the mute inside of Closet. That's Tower. Not able to get it all the way over. Pegasus doing a solid job of trying to smoke and deny the push through. But Antarctic Banana walking into their own teammates' toxic fumes now takes a little bit too much damage and unfortunately has no teammates directly near them to help him out. Playboy Cardi still struggling to get this mute jammer with those Argus charges, but you'd have to argue. The 4v3 with a couple of shields still up for the attack. They're in a very solid place here to make this attack work out. Max Verstappen spotting that player inside of the closet. Deprecated. No Nitrocell left for them to use as the clash overextends. Antarctic Banana now dropped down to just a sliver of HP. 1 or 2 zaps from the Zero Arcus camera might just be enough to take him down.
Luckily, there's a very long and drawn-out cooldown on the Argus camera laser, so at least they'll live on that front. But the problem is Noble Academy have now given themselves basically a single point of entrance, which is decent, yes, but when there's a couple smoke babes now still remaining and they've just been expended, and only one way through, that's very easy for the remaining players to watch. Pegasus from the right, Tower from the left, and Antarctic Banana can swing their shield over in that general direction when time starts to become more of a factor. I have no idea. Shot down from the side. They won't be able to be picked up so easily, and Tower finishes off them, plus 1 more. That should just be the round. Playboy Cardi will get in. They should be able to finish off Antarctic Banana. They do, but to no further effect. It's a shotgun for Pegasus, a 3K for them on the round, including the down player earlier, and now finally a round for Golfwing on the board.
Excellent defense. It's exactly where they needed to go, right? The basement gave them the best shot possible in Noble ACAD, putting all their eggs in arguably one basket. And that basket was not good enough to get them the win. They'll have to cycle back and try to attempt on Kids Dorm's main hall, which they've been very successful on. They're 2 for 2 on their attacks up there as Golfwing choose this site yet again as the defense. Now, hopefully, they're able to get a win for themselves, right? Then force that tertiary site, which they actually might have a better chance of defending against, especially with how one-sided Noble Acad like to go for their attacking strategies, right? Typically, in higher competitive play, you're going to see teams spread themselves more across the map. They're going to be taking from left, right, above, below, wherever it may be. But Noble ACAD, they are very centered on having all 5 players in the same spot to be able to make their attacks work, which can be good in some instances and sometimes is very helpful, especially when you've got some players that maybe aren't as vetted as others that are playing and participating, right? But Golfwing, if they're able to pick up on the fact that Noble ACAD really like to pressure just one side of the map all on their own, you can put as much emphasis, all of your resources to completely counter that out. And in theory, the defense should have enough utility to be able to stall out and potentially win that round for Golfwing if they're able to successfully achieve that. Question is, can they read the attack from Noble ACAD? And yet again,
Yes.
this big window. But this time, there's no sense. It's a Cali. More sniper, more firepower.
There's no sense, but the difference is they're still, or the lack of a difference in this case, is they're still running the multiple smoke sets plus the Galaz OTS. So it's nothing special nor out of the ordinary for them. And now the Galaz is going to do nearly the exact same thing. A C4 baited out already, but it does take out a Talon shield, so that's important. The problem is that C4 could have been used inside of those smokes to make sure you don't have to play for that angle. And Demps, for some reason, again, swings through a soft wall and dies. For no particular reason, we see this once more. And it cost Golfwang another opening pick.
I like this play from the Dokkaebi. Jim Carrey working their way up those armory stairs. They got it barricaded off, so Jim Carrey knows that they're pretty safe to kind of drone out, right, get a little bit more information for themselves. They now get rid of not only a black eye camera, but also this barricade stopping them from trampling their way in through trophy. Just have to be careful about overextending on this angle, right? You've got Tower putting a nice angle onto that top main cross, but they look away at just the wrong time. Do find the down, though, and will potentially get that confirmed. I don't know if Tower knows they've actually downed their opponent, but chances are Jim Carrey probably won't be revived in the near future, as Noble ACAD pop a smoke on that main window and begin to look for that eventual execute.
Max is on the roof. Max is on the roof. He's going to go help his teammate. He's got to go change his name now. Max Verstappen has never helped his teammate once in his life. This is, you got to change your name at this point. We will see a res on the far side of the map, jokes aside. And Noble Academy will still have 5 members up. But Antarctic Banana, them playing the Rook, at least there's some revivability for the rest of the team. And with a follow-up kill onto I Have No Idea, it's just timing that costs Tower their life. No C4 to go off, their life themselves will go down, and it's a fairly easy jump in for the rest of the team. Antarctic Banana jumps away from that big window at the worst possible time as well. This could be the beginning of the end for this 4th round.
Their opponents are in sight, almost full control here for the attack. Max Verstappen needs their own teammate. That's exactly what we were expecting. Help them in the early end and then backstab and blow him sky high, but still find the kill and eventually the win. It could be a more telltale story. It couldn't be more one-to-one to real life scenarios. Could it, Dan?
That's more like it. That is what we've been looking for.
Max Verstappen, way too much fun.
Assists his teammate for about 6 seconds, and then he nades him and just completely blows up his chances.
And then he dumps him into the wall, destroys the car, and wins the championship.
Oh my gosh, that... I don't think I've seen a better thing in Rainbow Six, apart from Adam Sandler and Jim Carrey playing ops like they're jokes.
Attackers have located a bomb.
Oh, this is a fun game. I'm enjoying this game. Noble Academy is also setting up themselves well from the start, which, you know, kind of helps their success. But, I mean, if Golfwang plays their information better, like they played the Valkyrie in the previous round, if they play off the cams rather than trying to face check every single angle in the world, especially against smokes when there's a known glass on the board, then they'd win the round.
Warden would be a very good counter pick.
That's a good
against the Noble ACAD attack, right? I don't know why we haven't seen Golfwang play Warden, because typically Warden has been that crutch pick, right? And maybe if 1.5 was still in the game, right, and that was still the meta, then that would be the play. Is Pegasus, that would have been insane.
Fat Finger G, Fat Finger G, do it.
No. If that C4 hit on the window as 3 people repelled, that would have been insane. I don't know why Pegasus isn't going to pick that back up, but seems like they're looking to potentially go for a hop out against their opponents, which would be great to see, right? Because we want to see some of that counter pressure here by Golfwang. They're starting to adapt to their opponents. This is the 4th time we've seen Noble ACAD go for this attack. The 4th time. All 5 of their bodies are being shoved on big window, or at least 4 of the 5 are being shoved on big window trying to find these picks, right? And you can see Golfwang, they're not peeking. They're not as tempted. They're not falling for the bait, not nearly as much as they were before. They're just going to wait for time. And in theory, they should be able to win the round if they just wait as long as possible. Throw 1 Nitro Cell if you had it, which they don't anymore. It looks like Pegasus hasn't retrieved that C4 yet. But throw that one nitro when your opponents try to walk into the site, and you've won the round.
Here's that info, and they've red pinged. All right.
It looked like the Dokkaebi spotted it anyway, so I don't think it mattered too much, but it is unfortunate to lose that information, as now that walk in through trophy looks to be established here by Jim Carrey and Max Verstappen. Tower taking a little bit of damage. This is a good adjustment also by Noble ACAT. They've started to insert themselves in the windows, knowing that they're not getting these peaks. They're playing this round really well and starting to adjust to what their opponents have adjusted to.
It's adjustments on both sides. It is a learning. This is what we're looking for from high school players. It is a learning. Welcome to the education field, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very well set up far side of the site as well. You still have the bandit batteries on the master closet, so there's no easy way in there. Because there was a switch prior, Max Verstappen was running the impact EMPs. Now they are no longer, because there was no need to on the top floor. Now, obviously, we can see there is, and they don't have them. Smokes are up, no C4 available. Something to keep in mind, especially now with the track stingers down, and Adam Sandler could just start to plant this. I don't know if there's an angle for them to be shot from that far side of kids, but nobody can even see the head of Adam Sandler, and there's no discernible sound cue because of how many shots are going off from different directions. Both players sitting in trophy die. There's a camera watching the diffuser, so they should have had that information otherwise, but nobody was dead to watch those cameras from the start. And Adam Sandler, from that same position, has found one, make it a second with help from No Idea from distance, and Playboy Cardi with a sniper from across the realm will shut things down from that same level of distance. It is Noble Academy with a nearly guaranteed round from this point onwards, and a very well-adjusted round at that. They knew the information was on the Golf Wang side. They knew that they did not have as much early round presence as they would otherwise, but even with these fairly few inconsequential kills, it's not going to matter. There is a, we'll say, technically illegal skin, but the track stinger ends it. That's poetic.
Doesn't matter in the end. Another big window execution for Noble ACAD, and another attacking win. Seems like they've done their research on their opponents of Golf Wang, and the big window takes are just better. I mean, that's really all there is to say. They are 4 for 4 on big window executions. Never in my life have I seen a team go 4 for 4 on big window executions. And they might go 5 for 5, Dan, because we're going back to Kids Dorms and Dorms Main Hall for the 5th time.
Please don't.
Now, Golf Wang could have elected to go basement. They could have elected to go laundry and supply. But
I believe the word there is should have, not could have. They should have.
They should have, but they didn't. And I don't know why. Now, maybe something has to do with the fact that they've decided to bring the warden this time. Are they listening to us, Dan? Are they listening to us? Is there an eye in the sky that they can hear us talking in the background, realizing what is happening? Or are they adapting to their environment?
Oh, no, but the problem is, with all this adapting, they're allowing Noble ACAD drones to get in freely. Now, granted, Noble has given away 4 of their drones to start off the round, if I'm seeing that correctly. So, at a bare minimum, they're taking some of that out. But the ace is swapped to the Flores. There's a Cali on the board. And you're swapping to the Amaru. Watch this. What the Amaru is going to do is they've definitely watched that Jinxie play from like 2 weeks ago against Kai Cenat. And he's going to go in towards Kitchen and use the Gara hook to go through the hatch and kill somebody who has no idea it's coming. I give it maybe 30 seconds for everybody to get set up on the window, and then somebody sitting inside of Kids is going to be very much surprised. Watch Playboy Cardi right side of your screen on the first floor. Demps is on a cam. Barcode is not watching this. Playboy Cardi's in. This is a perfect adjustment. He's going to go in. Nobody's still watching this, and he's just waiting for the window. There's a camera in. They've seen that. Apparently a drone is in through that, and they're trying to push them out of position before going through the hatch. I love this decision.
Well, that RCXD could make just enough noise for the Amaru to go up the hatch. You can see the plan is in effect. They just have to execute it. There it is.
No idea.
The Amaru is up. The Frost has no idea. What Playboy Cardi misses the shots. They've got to turn the corner. Shotgun in hand. They find the kill. The Clash has also hit the floor. And the attack is working to a T. Max Verstappen just has to find their way into sight as flashbangs go through.
You're warden.
You're warden, my friend. You can deny the blinding effect of those I guess it doesn't matter too much because now you're dead, so you can't deny anything. As Tower hits the ground in a DBNO fashion, and Pegasus is the last member alive. A 1 versus 4. We've seen this so many times, time and time again. No idea. With the gutsiest swing we've seen to date. Getting the final 2 kills, the confirm, and then the live body. And it's a 5-1 attacking split. All 5 attacks won up on the top floor. And if that hasn't shifted the stats in the attacking favor on this bomb site, Dan, then I don't know what will.
That is a great play. Honestly, from the start, that is a great setup. It is great information-based play as well. What you do is you intentionally wait. Number 1, for the first Rotera drone to go in. That first Rotera drone takes out the bulletproof camera that was on the wall. That takes out information. The second one opens up a rotate should you need it. Now, yeah, it does bait over a little bit too much or too many eyes in that general direction, so it could have been an Achilles heel. But all in all, you set that up well from the start. It doesn't cost you anything in the end, and you still have support through that wall that you just opened. Remember, the Clash dying was through the wall and the window, not from the Amaru who was inside the site. That was well set up from the start. They had the information they needed on the utility they were using. Noble Academy is a very smart team from the start. And I don't like to make these guesstimations early, but we're in group play, and I have fairly decent confidence this is a top 4 team in the event. And that is saying something considering we have 6 separate groups. We'll say 3 just for PC.
Yeah, and they've looked really, really solid, at least thus far, compared to their opponent. Now, we don't know what the other teams, the other groups are looking like as of yet, but the Noble ACAD, Jim Carrey, Adam Sandler, Max Verstappen, we'll just call them Celebrity Clan, R6, are doing a very solid job.
Celebrity Academy?
Celebrity? Wow.
Celebrity.
I need to go back to English class. Clearly, I've been out of school for too long, and it's only been since December. So we'll ignore that. But Golfwing going for a very different attack. They've actually got themselves for a typical split. They've got themselves working in through attic, but there's a bandit nearby. No, it's actually a mute who's nearby who drops away. It's the Rook, actually, of Max Verstappen, who backs off, taking a little bit of chip damage from their own teammate. As Barcode finds an early pick, impacts to go through. No damage done to Arctic Banana, however. Barcode has been killed, so Arctic Banana will be on their own to do all the work here from attic as Dempsey will rotate over, and Antarctic Banana, unfortunately, missing their shots just when they needed.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So, for all of you who don't play Rainbow Six, those sandbags aren't breachable. That's, you can see on the left side of your screen where those sandbags would be. That's just like a window you can't go through. So, yeah, that C4 goes through. That does a heck of a lot of damage. It does remove the shield for a few seconds, maybe a second and a half, but Jim Carrey does not get the opportunity that they would have wanted to try and take the shot. Now, notably, Antarctic Banana is playing with arguably the best pistol in the game. That is just a pistol and not a submachine gun pistol. The PMM does so much damage.
Basically a
But there's
DMR.
oh my goodness. If the bars were going the other way, he would have had a kill. But they weren't,
Bars
so he
are
doesn't.
so unfortunate. The bars are like the most infuriating thing to memorize on this game because sometimes they go one way, sometimes they go another way. Just depends on whoever decided to construct the map, I guess. But I'll say this: Noble ACAD, excellent job thus far on their defense. Much better than how Golfwing have favored to date. It looks like they're finally going to get in and get this master wall open up. But Jim Carrey finding their second pick of the round. The fuse finally goes down and loses their life. The Grim, though, of Tower. Great swing on a Max Verstappen. Getting the pass in the corner. And getting the body down on the floor as Demps will look to make their way in sight. Potentially getting that diffuser down in a default position. You can't play it prone, though. You've got to get somewhere and get it down. You can't play it in the middle of the site, though. There's no protection. Finally, Demps begins to get the case down. They're trying to wallbang him, but can't get it done.
Attackers are active.
Somehow
it's
the
down.
fuse goes down. Oh, no. And they have the best lock-in possible. They do still have the master closet open, so that rotation could come through. But the information's very much there. A spray through the wall finally takes out Demps. A follow-up from the SPSMG of Playboy Cardi will drop down Pegasus from distance. It's a 1 versus 3 for Tower, who's walking in on the open side of the site. The diffuser's coming through. There's definitely a sound cue on this. Somebody has to move, and that somebody's the only one alive. Tower walks through, only to be blocked by the shield. And Noble Academy have a very, 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 very quick match point available to them.
Excellent retake. I guess it was just in the strategy. Let him plant the diffuser. Doesn't matter. We still got a clash on the board. We'll just plug the hole and diffuse this case from there. Easily done by Noble ACAD. As now Golf Wang have to fight with their backs against the wall. They've struggled thus far in this match to meet up with the firepower and the strategy of Noble ACAD. I would argue that Golf Wang had a better attacking strategy than Noble ACAD did in every single round, which it was just straight big window, right? 4 members there. The issue is Golf Wang were not successful enough on the defense to prevent that attacking strategy, the working of which Noble ACAD were using, right? So now Golf Wang have to go to the arguably more difficult bomb site of the basement, which is the only site that the defense has actually won other than last round, which was Noble ACAD, winning on dorms and kids dorms. So Noble ACAD with a chance to close out the map here. Remember, we are in competitive settings, not ranked, not casual, not standard. So 7 rounds to win. Should we need overtime, it would be 8 rounds to win. Overtime would be achieved if we reach the 6-6 point, right? So those parents that are watching that are like, I have no idea what's happening. That was my mom in all of the games that I played in my collegiate time. She was absolutely that way, Dan. She was,
Yep.
I have no idea what's happening, but I'm watching. And I said, okay, I'm glad, because sometimes I don't know what's happening, and I'm the one playing the game.
Sometimes. I never know what's happening. I don't think I've ever known.
Yeah,
what's
you're
happening,
just,
as a matter
you're
of fact.
lost. You're lost.
I have no idea. As far as I know, it says match point at the top, so you'd have to assume that Noble Academy, if they win this, they win the game, right? I feel like that logic tracks at least in some way, unless somehow Golf Wang would be able to win 2-6, which that doesn't track. Jokes aside, Barcode's in. We finally get an Ash Rush we've been looking for, and they are already in through Freezer. Sound cues have been made. Freezer's fully reinforced off, so that's maybe a problem in terms of overall map control. But Castle Barricade, there's a beeper, so at least there's some information. And will there be a shot through the drone hole? Maybe.
Drone hole is an excellent idea. Potentially find a couple of bodies, although he has no idea who he's speaking in that moment. Barcode looking to be aggressive, has only really had one good round to date, and has felt like, I don't know, from just watching Dan, seems like one of the more mechanically gifted players from the side of Golf Wang. Just unfortunately has not been aided with the information to find the picks, but there was a big one onto Jim Carrey, as now it seems like there's some decent control. Barcode still looking to find bodies. You can tell this player is talented mechanically. They just need the tools to get the job done. They need the resources from their team. Those fuse cluster charges going off can be very helpful. The issue is they haven't found their mark yet. With only a minute left to go on this attack, Golf Wang are stalling out a little bit. They've got to get the ball rolling. And so far, they just haven't found that opening yet.
So you're also looking at this from the perspective of at least Golf Wang and saying, yeah, they have the opening pick, but how much do they have inside of the site? Adam Sandler has a nasty angle. I haven't even seen this played at a near pro level, and nobody knows it. Those shots miss. You have to at least hit your shots for the angle to become impactful. But at least having the information is good enough. You see the fuse from distance, you know the Ash is close, and you reload it arguably one of the worst possible times, but luckily it doesn't cost you all that much. There's a spray, kills one. Antarctic Banana finds a TK onto the Ash while trying to take out what is the Cade sitting inside a closet, and they still haven't found out that the Pulse is sitting on those floorboards. The pistol has now been drawn. Going for the sidearm shots from distance. They don't hit those either. Oh no, Mason. Oh no.
Oh, it's
There we
so
go.
Unfortunate. Finally, Adam Sandler finds that kill. Pegasus walking from behind finds
Hello.
one. Another headshot. They can save the round for their team. Max
Three.
Verstappen just has to stay alive for a little bit longer. And Golf Wang
I can't believe
are not able to get it done. Noble Academy win their first match in this day 2 of group stages. Excellent job out of Noble Academy. That Muppet Head pulse is just the weirdest thing ever. It is like, that's gonna live in my dreams.
That's a
With the
first.
comb. With
I've
the
never seen
comb
that.
is crazy. With the comb is actually wild for the elite skin. But you gotta argue, Noble ACAD looked very, very solid in that match. Unfortunately, there was just not enough that could be done by their opponents to really adjust, right? They tried to make adjustments. They tried to do the changes, right, that they needed to, which was excellent to see.
Yeah.
The issue is they can never execute it, right? They couldn't execute it to a T, and they couldn't get enough going for themselves to really counter out their opponents, with the exception of the one basement defense that they played very well. That being said, we've got 2 more games to play, Dan.
Yep.
We still got 2 more different teams from different groups to watch face off.
Yeah, we've got Group 3 on the cards. Coming up next, it is .K versus Paraphernalia as our second match of the day. But, I mean, the principal thing to come away from this game is the adjustments, at least statistically, were seen. We saw the correct operators picked. We saw the correct play style brought through. Just sometimes it's the mechanics, sometimes it's the team decisions as well that end up costing you. Those semantics can indeed be ironed out down the line, but the fact of the matter is they had the information down that they needed to. That can be built off of. Mechanics can, of course, be taught. Sometimes, not all the time. We'll see if that's the case maybe down the line, maybe in future one-off tournaments, but that was a absolute stomping coming through. Noble Academy do indeed take this first best of 1. We got 2 more groups as mentioned. It's .K versus Paraphernalia when we come back. One game down, still 2 good ones to go. This one going to be a little bit more contentious than it may have been otherwise, though. Paraphernalia is plagued with only 4 players. Their 5th had their internet go out in the previous game they just played, and they have not come back since. And they've been told to go without him. And they've also said, yeah, we're fine to go without him. So this should be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, playing a 4v5 is never ideal, but if you
Yeah.
still end up with a win in the end of it, I guess you can't complain too much. Unfortunately, though, I believe Paraphernalia are already 0-1.
Yeah.
After their last group match. So, not looking so hot, at least for their start, but maybe they're able to kick one back here, playing down a man. And starting on the defensive side will definitely get them a little bit more of an advantage, at least in this case. Of course, make sure you follow us at all of our lovely socials, whether that be Instagram, X/Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. There's a lot of good stuff going on there. Lots of shorts, lots of content, right, that we're trying to produce, of course, for the high school scene.
Yeah, and VESL's been very good with outputting good content rather than just garbo content, as compared to maybe what you'd kind of expect from a high school league. This is a very well put together competition, and a couple of competitions still soon to come. Of course, we've got regionals around the corner for the actual leagues themselves. We've got Counter-Strike and Overwatch. If you'd like to register, head over to VESL.GG to learn more. VESL stands for Varsity Esports and STEM League, for all of you who may have been unfamiliar, or now. Now, the background graphic for this is Rainbow Six, maybe a little bit of a misnomer. We've still got Counter-Strike and Overwatch around the corner. You cannot, however, register for Rainbow Six. You've missed out on that one. But it seems like this event has gotten some pretty good attention, and come September, we'll have cross-play and custom games. So, maybe we'll be able to put them together because, I mean, console players can beat PC players. We've seen that before, even at some of the higher levels. We'll see that hopefully down the line. But for now, we're headed to Clubhouse. Now, we just saw Oregon, and that was a little chaotic, but it was overall a pretty decent game. I'd like to see Clubhouse hopefully go a little bit closer, but in a 4v5, it's either going to be very close because it's a 4v5 or more of a blowout because it's a 4v5.
Yeah, it really depends on how the defending team gets to their start, right? That's Paraphernalia starting on the defense. In theory, they should start off somewhat okay, even being down a man, just because they are on that defensive side. Much more favorable here on Clubhouse. It's a map that everyone, yet again, understands very easily and very much so here in the Rainbow Six competitive scene, as it's .K taking on Paraphernalia. So we get into our operator bans. Dan, last match, we had some surprisingly very strong bans. I don't know if that'll be the same case here on Clubhouse. Typically, you'll see a hard breacher get banned a lot of the time, right? There's only a few operators who are very, very solid at hard breaching here on Clubhouse. Maverick and Habana being 2 of those primary names called out. Thatcher is also very strong here, though. So for Paraphernalia, starting on the defense, getting rid of those large EMPs is a good start.
Yeah, seeing EMPs taken off the board, especially the Thatcher EMPs, is not abnormal. Ying as well is a fairly normal ban. But when you're banning a Thatcher, your opponents usually ban out that secondary hard breach, or one of the main hard breaches. Habana, Ace, Mav, one of those 3. Here, that not being the case does kind of surprise me. Fenrir, also not a surprising ban. That is about as stock standard as things get, especially with the meta. But, I mean, you're looking at this game and saying, there are a few operators that are left on the board that could very well play a big factor in this match.
Mira, Valkyrie, Solus, Zami, all still available and very, very strong on the defensive side. As it's Azami to hit the deck. That means you're going to have a wealth of information on the defensive side. Mira, Valkyrie, Solus are all very, very good on this map. I would not be shocked to see a combination of a couple of those operators being brought out yet again. Remember, it is a 4 versus 5. Unfortunately, one of the Paraphernalia members had their internet go out, so they're playing at a disadvantage already starting off the bat. But you see, I see a diamond card hiding around in there.
I see an OXG card too. This game's over. Paraphernalia is going to win.
Is it a clean 7-0?
I'd say like 7-3 only because of disadvantage. But I mean, last game we saw a lot of gray backgrounds.
Defenders, protect your
That's
bombs.
usually how you know if a team's doing well from the start or not. It is their, as Intero put it in Charlotte at 22, Skinnergy. Here, the background's at least not
Good old
gray.
Charlotte.
Attackers
That was a
have
really
discovered
nice
the
event,
location
though.
of a bomb.
Like a
That was a fun
5-map
event. That
grand
was-
final.
That was the first event I got to like actually meet people.
It was the first event I ever went to. First LAN that I ever went to.
Same for me.
I graduated high school the following Thursday.
I had the displeasure of meeting you there.
I'm so sorry. It's been downhill since.
It really has. My career has really just like gone on a downcline. I used to be a player, now I'm a commentator. You see how I've fallen off. I'm at the same level as I am now. That's tragic.
Strike one.
Strike one. It was a good attempt of a throw. I mean, you could just do it from closer on the wall, but Matt at Gascars, I guess, is just gonna throw it anywhere in garage. It's truthfully, it is hard to spot this black eye cameras in garage unless you bring in an IQ, just because of how many different places it could go, right? But I like this start to the round already. You've got Pyramids going for the bandit trick, but you've also got heavy wall focus here and pressure by the attacking side of .K. Now, I'd like to see them insert that buck down below, use the skeleton key to deny the bandit trick, get that wall open, and then use Velfate with the Osa Talon Shield to try to get that coverage in. And you can see Silly Cluter already in bottom blue down below. This is an excellent start to the round for .K, showing a lot of promise to their team and their attacking strategy. They've already got themselves inserted down at the bottom of red stairs. They just gotta make sure they can deny this bandit trick on the main wall.
This is great.
The Buck begins to play that vertical play. It's excellent play, but
never mind.
they're swung by Pyramids, who's been forced off the wall. You could open the wall if you wanted, but instead, the bandit has rotated over. Chromatic is denying the con wall from being opened up, and not the main wall, which does effectively get opened up, but it's frozen quickly by the Tuberal, and Pyramids should be able to get those bandit wires on the wall. Now, will it activate in time to stop the exothermic?
Nope.
It won't,
No,
as
it
it's
was
opened
close.
just in the nick of time. And all of a sudden, Pyramids has taken a lot of damage. And .K still have somewhat of an advantage here in this round, even though the time has begun to dwindle.
It's the time, but remember, the player advantage is gone as well. Remember, you start with a player advantage in every single round for .K's position. Yes, it was lost because Silly Cluter was clearing out the bottom floor, so maybe there's a little bit of an asterisk added to that conversation. But Pyramids is sitting in default. They've yet to be cleared. There is a lack of drones available. There's only actively one for .K, and the only person with that drone is Velfate, who is busy doing other things. Delicate is trying to clear out construction, and they're very much dead. Mad at Gas Cars is apparently also mad at the Aerojab wielder, and they are very much dead. A second one, not to be theirs, Silo will clear that, but it's evened up to a 2v2. With 30 seconds left, this is a very reasonable round on both sides.
Two teams very close to each other. Youngkin looking to walk at this Raptors player of Stroker, who finds the kill. Excellent shots by the Jaeger. Now it's Silo. A 1-on-2 has to walk on through this cash door. There's a punch angle, though, being held from the top of Raptors by the Jaeger. Habata able to duck by, gets the kill on the Tuberal. And now it's just a 1 versus 1, but Stroker is better in the engagement. Paraphernalia. It might be a 4v5, Dan, but they've won the first round with ease.
It did get a little, we'll say, concerning early in the round, but they were able to lock in the final gunfights. They seemingly had the composition they wanted as compared to how they played it from the start. And they adjusted to the .K setup very well. My one concern is really how they want to set up an extended roam with a player disadvantage, because you really can't do that when you're in a 45. On Gym Bedroom, maybe it's a little easier. You go into logistics. Usually you don't have to extend all that far. But that will be one point of concern. Paraphernalia, I said it in our pre-show. Actually, I said it before we started our pre-show in our pseudo green room. Them starting on the defensive side could make this a little bit of an easier realm and go of things, because you can set up momentum there, and you're waiting for them to walk into you. As long as you don't get forced out of position due to utility, which we saw fairly well set up by Silo in the previous round, this could very well be their game to win, should they at least play it properly.
I believe I misspoke earlier. It was actually Paraphernalia who had a 1-0 win already stated. It doesn't look like .K got to play through their first match. They were disqualified in their first match, so they took a loss. So currently Paraphernalia looking like one of the stronger teams out of the group, but .K kept it very close, Dan. They kept it very close. They were arguably very aggressive. They had some good kills. I feel like this could be the group of death, potentially, as one could say.
Yeah.
Right, with how good at least the aim has seen from these two teams, right? It looks immensely better than what we saw last game. Not to necessarily harp on the players, but it feels like there's more mechanically inclined players in this lobby and in this group, at least to start off, and based on some of those engagements we saw in the last round. Certainly, I'm eyeing over the castle of Stroker, because I think that they have definitely got some talent in their bones. As that jacuzzi wall gets opened up, you can tell that .K have some really solid strategies underway. They're already in down below as well, walking through Struck Club and now potentially up the main stairs. So it's a really solid initial entry here. And Stroker caught completely off guard as the Jackal gets one, but is immediately refragged by Chromatic, who forgets about Jacuzzi being wide open as the Mira lets her own gadget get popped. Flicks over to the Thermite. Excellent shot! But the issue is Paraphernalia. Playing with that disadvantage is hurting them more and more in these rounds. They're only at a 2-on-3 and what could be a 3-on-3 had they had all 5 members in this game.
Player disadvantages, but when time gets lower, that player disadvantage starts to favor the defense a little bit more. Whether it's the player advantage or disadvantage, it's the game starting to favor them more. This is a great setup for them, in all fairness. Even in the 2 versus 3, they still have the dock on the board, so there is a reasonable opportunity for them to bring that back. And with logistics taken over, there's a problem built in that position. But that seems to be all. If Velfate sees pyramids, that becomes problematic, but the feet not being shot properly allows that position gained, except for when Matic Gascars swings freely and finds a free B at that. It becomes a 2v2, and just like that, we're down to even.
Air jab in the hallway, denying that rotation there for the dock Pyramids. The walk in, Silo missing their shots though! Pyramids gets the kill and will be able to stim themselves back up to full HP. Delicate, not able to walk in, but they take down the Mira. Can't find their opponent though. It's another 4 versus 5 round win as Paraphernalia find 2 rounds, although they were in the disadvantage. In both of them, they've still found the win in the end. Aim is excellent from these 2 teams.
Seeing a Warden being brought here, which is perfect considering the Blitz is being at least hovered by Cluter. And okay, maybe never mind. I spoke too soon. But it seems like Paraphernalia are aware of their disadvantage from the start, and they're playing around that disadvantage rather than allowing it to get the better of them. I like the utility they're bringing in most of these rounds. The Mira is good for an equalization. They brought the dock for that stim possibility. This is becoming a reasonable game for Paraphernalia. And on the defensive side, they're adjusting well. They're not allowing .K to clear them out of those very default-ish positions. And more importantly, they're just mechanically gifted. They can hit their shots when they need to, and we've seen that thus far.
I gotta say that, honestly, both of these teams look very solid, at least so far, Dan. .K, they're employing the right strategies, right? They're kind of catching themselves off guard, maybe getting too aggressive when they don't need to. And honestly, I would argue that the gun skill and gunplay from Paraphernalia have really been keeping them in the match, at least thus far, right? Although they are playing at that disadvantage, and .K are playing excellent strategies, it doesn't seem like .K have the mechanical skill to be able to keep up with Paraphernalia, especially in these quick engagements that are often being forced by aggressive defensive swings that .K just have not set themselves up for. Hoping that this Nomad can be a little bit more useful for them, right? Place those air jabs in more precise spots to deny those aggressive swings. Use maybe more util. Use those flashbangs, use those smoke canisters. Displace those lines of sights being played by Paraphernalia.
The third opportunity for .K. They've already got a hatch open. They really don't need those hard breachers, considering how little time Paraphernalia have. You have basically 20% less time to set up the site as you would otherwise, because you don't have that extra player. You'd want to put down those reinforcements, even on the hatches, but you don't have that time to go running around the top floor if somebody else isn't available on the bottom floor. You still have to set up rotates. You still have to set up your information, Evil Eyes, Black Eye cameras, the bandit batteries, and the mute jammers. Basically everything is conscious and needs to be a conscious setup. Now, .K, a minute into the round, they've cleared out most of the top floor, but that's only the top floor. Yeah, you can play those vertical angles, but there's a lot of positions on the bottom floor that are not susceptible to those vertical angles. This one included. I'd like to see Paraphernalia just avoid what is a disadvantageous position on the bottom floor, and instead play for the gunfights that they have to. Delicate is in a weird position, sees the unreinforced wall, and gets down by it, and follow-up finished off. Opening kill again goes Paraphernalia's way, and just like that, now they have a player advantage rather than a player equalization.
Big picks there for Paraphernalia. Again, aggressive swings. Just not contained by .K. It's a triple drop down the blue hatch, but Stroker has the LMG in hand. That Alda carries 81 rounds, and it'll let them sing their way down range. Velfate, though, very nice shot onto the head of Pyramids, taking down the Mute. That's a strong weapon and a strong body down on the defensive side now. But .K still have a long battle to climb back uphill. Velfate trying to make as much noise as possible, using the boogie drones as a potential pseudo distraction for their own teammate. The issue is the case is stuck down at the bottom of blue, and there's really not much that .K can do here to try to recover it. Stroker even has a bubble in their own pocket should they want to deploy it maybe a little bit late for late round denial, as Silo tries to walk their way up potentially into this blue door, but there's just so many lines of sights that they have to worry about, not only crossing against the Moto door frame, but also against AKs and Dirt as they get the kill. Automatic gas cars almost find the shot of the Bandit. Chromatic, though, better in the engagement, and it's a drop down the kitchen hatch by Velfate that goes shy. And Stroker finding a couple crucial picks on the defensive side, winning the third straight round while being in a 4 versus 5.
Yeah, I was just going to say, hey, a brief thing to re-mention if anybody's just joining us. Paraphernalia has played this entire game thus far in a 4v5, a conscious 4v5, and they knew their 5th was not coming back. As of right now, by the way, their 5th cannot rejoin even if they fix their internet issues because they never joined in the first place. There's no position for them to fill because the position was previously never filled. This is an insane way for them to start on the defensive side of Clubhouse, I might add. On the attack, maybe you have more of an opportunity. It is a real tale of 6 and 1/2 dozen, where it's even either way. You could either start on the attack, send all 4 players in the same direction, pick up an opening kill, and bang, it's a 4v4. Or, on the defense, you just send out a straggler, and bang, you have a 4v4 yourself. Again, odd way of setting things up, but an odd way of playing, because it's a 4v5 already.
Well, gotta say, it has been a tough start for .K. They've had the right strategies employed, they've had the right idea, and they've definitely shown that they can compete.
10 seconds
It's
left.
just, I feel like Paraphernalia just have the better players.
5 seconds left.
Truthfully, that's really what it's
Attackers
chalked
have
down to.
discovered
It's
the
not
location of the
strategy
bomb.
based at all. .K have an excellent idea
Attackers are moving
of
to
what they
defuse the
want to do,
bomb.
and they execute it at a fairly solid level. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more utility usage for them, and then more phantom pressure, right? Open up a couple more things. Try to apply more pressure so that Paraphernalia don't feel so comfortable sitting in the defensive spots that they've been, right? They've been able to sit rather tucked, rather comfortable in a lot of different positions. And if you're able to open more of these walls, open more lines of sight, right? Then your opponents become less comfortable with what they're doing. As they try to work here on the CCTV cash take into garage, which none of those garage walls have been reinforced, Dan, and that is an odd choice here by Paraphernalia. That means a lot of their extension must be focused over on the gym and bedroom side, which, to be fair, was the majority of that .K take. But I don't know if that's the route to go here, especially on the side, as Youngkin will begin to get that main wall open. Now, opening it at the top of the wall really is only good for if there's a mute jammer. Otherwise, you have to actually vault through, right? So you want to place that at the bottom of the wall unless there's a mute jammer denying you from the entry. Then you can place it up top a little bit higher and in the center to avoid that radius bubble that the jammer deploys, and then be able to get that wall. The con wall has been opened now, so it's a solid start to the round by .K. They just have to execute their attack, which, is that Delicate in Rafters already?
Again, the player disadvantage is costing Paraphernalia. Not only because, well, it's a player disadvantage, but because you can't play as many or as separate positions as you'd want to otherwise. Cluter is playing, by the way, with a Boss G because they can. Paraphernalia's extension this time around has gone more towards gym and bedroom, incorrectly, I might add, compared to what it did last time, but maybe this is the correct decision? We'll see. Delicate finds the opening pick onto Pyramids, all of 1 minute and 45 seconds into the round. It does give away their position, of which is immediately removed. Chromatic almost finds a second, but it's Matic Gascars who finds the second onto Cluter, who tried to walk up the main stairs and died with that same Boss G in hand. We're down to a 3v3, and with 60 seconds, that Thermite just fell off the side.
Now Silo is going to test their fate over here on the master bedroom side. Those footprints just narrowly escaping their reach on the Inox tracker. As the Valkyrie will just continue to hold this position strong as ever. Maybe aiming a little bit low, but the job will do it with the MPX. It's not a very high damaging gun, but if Silo, who's going to have to swing here in the next 10 seconds or so to make an effort towards the bomb site, can get in, they might be able to win this fight. Velfate taking one, but not able to find the shots needed. Instead, it's Youngkin who gets the kill onto the Valkyrie of Madat Gascars. All of a sudden, .K have the advantage. They just have to get inside and get the case down. Silo, maybe a little bit too far to help his team on the attack. And the ace going up Garage is so late in the round. Stroker finds one. The cases hit the floor. There's no time left for the attackers. They find one. It's a one-on-one. Chromatic just has to live. And the Jackal will hit a goo mine. Not able to get the round done. It was closer than ever for .K, but still in the end, Paraphernalia reign free and win their fourth.
That is 4 straight. They've won CCTV cash now twice, and more importantly, it is a round where .K have a very reasonable opportunity again. And again, it's on the same site they did last time. This is a very opportune team of Paraphernalia. They escape with some picks maybe they wouldn't have otherwise. They play those pseudo-rat positions in near perfect fashion. And, again, just mechanically gifted. Chromatic finds a 2-piece in the round, is able to escape and play hide-and-go-seek against an immobilized Jackal, or at least very close to one, considering he ran into the goo mine. And it's 4-0 to the team that only has 4 players.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not much you can say there. There's really not much.
You know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a competitive event where you have a full 4v5 and have 2 teams that are normally close to each other to see how it goes. Because there's no way that this would usually go 4-0, right?
10 seconds left.
Yeah, it's funny because we thought it was going to be a blowout, but in the other direction, considering a team is playing at a disadvantage. But clearly not. Okay, me thought. To really satisfy all the English teachers out there, me thought that Paraphernalia were going to get blown out because they were at a disadvantage, but me thought wrong. And I can't do it anymore. I'm trying to upset the English teachers to torture them a little bit for all the homework that they gave me in high school.
These are North Carolina high school students. Their English teachers could very well be watching.
Exactly. That's how I'm
You'll
saying.
become a case study tomorrow at class.
Yeah, they're gonna watch the broadcast tomorrow and be like, "This is how to not talk in English."
Speak in English.
Yeah, my point taken. My point taken. My point taken. Exactly.
Well, a castle's been seen. There's a small army running through a very small hole, and all of them want to go the same direction, and they have a Gone 6 for it. Wait for the single player who's stuck in a corner. Do they clear out Young Stroker from this corner position? I think the answer is yes, but they may very well just completely avoid it. 1 kill found, a second on 2 players looking the wrong way, but they walk into Pyramids, who's looking the correct direction, and Cluter still has a player behind him. Turn around, my friend. You're going to die to a bandit battery. Oh, no, it's all gone wrong. .K are in ruins, and it's a 2v4 at 1:10.
Oh!
Now making a 1v4 is Pyramids 1-tap Silo. Delicate needs a heroic pseudo-ace. And .K still need a round. This is shambolic.
Wow. It was a good idea trying to use the shields, which are very oppressive in this season of Rainbow Six Siege, right? So many teams struggle. The Monty, the Blitz, the Fuse, whatever it may be. But not Paraphernalia. They don't struggle at all with the shields. They welcome them. Because they're just free kills in their own eyes. And .K are down 5-0 on Clubhouse Attack. Now, it's a map that you can actually come back from being down 5-0.
Oh, yeah.
It is definitely one of those maps. It's just, I don't know with the scenario, with the case it being Paraphernalia playing very, very hard and very, very well, that they'll be able to come back from this deficit that they put themselves in. It is truthfully ideal to get at least 2 rounds on the clubhouse attack, so that way on your defense you can settle in. If you lose one, it's okay, because you can still play the rest as hard as possible and still end with like a 7-5 win, right? But being down 5-0, it almost means that you have to play flawless on your defense to either force overtime or at least get a win. And it would be so difficult to get that win in regulation, which I don't know if that matters too much in the group play here. I don't know how much like regulation wins versus overtime wins matter. Sometimes it does. In group play, I don't think it does too much, just looking at the way that the brackets are played out and the groups are laid out. But if it does have any bearing, any effect of round count, right, it is important to note that round count could later seed into playoff seeding, for example.
The thing is, .K, apart from that round, the 4 rounds prior to that were all very close. Either 2v1 or 2v2s, if not a 1v1 to close out the round. Every single one, except for, obviously, the absolute blowout we just saw in round 5. So, at least there's a reasonable opportunity for them to bring back a lot of those rounds. A single gunfight changes the course of this game. It would instead be 4-1 the opposite direction, apart from, again, that 5th round. Now here, .K have a very good opportunity at clearing both laterally and vertically. I'd like to see them start with lateral, which is what they're doing. Thermite's good. Lack of a Habana, lack of base, that does trigger a problem for me, but when you pick up an opening kill with a PDW, Delicate has made a swap, not only in terms of operator, but in terms of primary weapon as well. And maybe there's a good start, and there it is. There's a second. Only 2, though, so a 2v4 makes this a reasonable round for Paraphernalia. We've seen those come back from before. But a 1v4 to pick up a flawless first half with the diffuser already going down, I don't think this is going to be added to the list of crazy things we've seen this far today.
This is going to be a significantly more difficult round for the Valkyrie, who does find one as an impact. They so choose to rotate the back armory, but instead it's the Thermite of Silly Cluter to utilize the defensive prone holes against the last defender. Finding their first win of the round is .K, the first win of the match, rather, is .K, and it couldn't have come at a more important time as we go into the side swap now. This .K will be on the defense and have the advantage here on Clubhouse, whereas Paraphernalia gonna have to do a lot of hard work. Being in a 4 versus 5 is already difficult. It's even more difficult on the attacking side because you have less operators that you can bring to deal with defensive gadgets. And guess what? The defenders have more gadgets that they could potentially bring for you to deal with.
Now, my one question to Paraphernalia is how do you set up your attacks? Because teams, when they have a 4v5, albeit the very few times I've seen it happen, usually want to play as together as they can. They want to play slowly, try and bait out picks, bait out positioning, do whatever they can to force .K out of wherever they're comfortable. Now here, there are a few operators where they seem comfortable in any position. They're running Doc, which seems like they want to play aggressive, but they want to make sure they have a fallback plan. The Vigil to make sure somebody's ratting in a corner to try and catch out somebody from Paraphernalia who may be ratting in a corner, given their first half. That's not unreasonable. And you still have that hard breach denial in the Mute and Bandit composition. Overall, I don't see any discernible issues with this defense, apart from maybe the Vigil. On Paraphernalia's side, they're running double hard breach and double soft breach. And they only have 8 drones. 3 of those are already gone.
Well, Dan. Oh. Just me. I hope.
As much as you.
Oh. Is-
Mason?
Hello?
Are you alive?
Hi.
He's back!
I think... okay, am I the one that's... It might be me. It might be my network.
Bomb located by attackers.
I think it's you. Well, what you missed was Silly Cluter dropping down pyramids, so say goodbye to one of those 2. The buck is gone. At least a good start for .K. There's a reasonable way in which this game ends 8, 7, 5. Delicate's roam here has been seen. They, for some reason, throw an impact at the wall, like that was going to matter. But the opening pick already for .K, they're comfortable with how they're playing right now. They don't have to put themselves out of position. They haven't lost an early pick to even things up. Overall, this looks good. And Mason's network, I think, is still dying. So, for the time being, we'll continue. Well, 90 seconds. Paraphernalia, they have some information. They have not fully cleared out cache. Matic Gascars, keep an eye on this. They are not overtly looking at cache. This drone has not cleared that barricade. They think it is unoccupied because of the barricade that is up. While Chromatic walks up the main stairs, finds a pick, almost a second on Develphi, and they're still being held. Delicate, on that roam, will drop down the Stroker and make this a much more problematic round for Paraphernalia, despite the fact that they have Matic Gascar sitting inside of Logistics, and Chromatic, who was at the bottom of main stairs, decided to go elsewhere. It seems like they'll go to the balcony, but remember, Delicate's over still towards that CCTV cache position. 50 seconds, Matic Gascars wants to walk through Logistics, they will, and find an opening pick. So a 2v3 makes this a much easier round to retrieve, especially with the follow-up from Chromatic onto Delicate. That roam removed, that Achilles heel of the Paraphernalia split attack is indeed taken away, similar to a goo mine. And now the round opened up much more. 2 stims still on the dock, still 18 X-Kairos pellets on Chromatic should they need to use any of them, but it doesn't seem like that will be the case whatsoever. Silo's still holding over towards that connector position. Matic Gascars will see them, and the Doc, who should be seen around this next corner, but the problem is Chromatic still dies to the position that was seen just a few seconds prior. 10 seconds remains. A reposition from Silo makes this a much more difficult round as Matic Gascars looks the wrong direction. Silo will clear them from the opposite side of the position they were previously seen in, and .K have a second. We've gone from 5-0 now to 5-2, and Mason, .K, have much more of an opportunity in this map.
Yeah, those are 2 really impactful rounds to win, right? Not only the transition in between your attack to defense, but now on the defense, getting a hot start, putting Paraphernalia on the back burner, right? Beginning to mount that pressure that, uh-oh, we're throwing a 5-0 lead right now. Is this something that is good? No, of course it's not good, right? And that starts to trickle into the back of the heads of the players. It starts to settle in. And then maybe some of the excuses start to come out. We're playing at a 4v5 anyway. We should be losing this game. Something like that could come through, and all of a sudden the comms maybe get a little bit more toxic. Maybe the team doesn't play as well.
This is high schoolers.
that is totally valid. It is totally valid. We don't recommend that you cyberbully each other or e-bully each other online, okay? But it can't happen. People might get frustrated at each other. You're in a competitive game. It can happen in anything. Football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, soccer, whatever it may be. People are going to, essentially, tensions are going to flare at some point or another. It could absolutely happen here in the Rainbow Six scene. So it's important for Paraphernalia to make sure that doesn't happen, right? Keep their heads on their shoulders and just do the job they need to on their attacks. The issue is, this attack is going to be significantly more difficult because Silly Cluter is planning to go for that bandit trick, and there's really nothing that Paraphernalia are going to be able to do to deny it. You've got a couple of EMPs in the pocket of Young Stroker, but that's it.
You just throw Selmas on either wall and then try and clear out the bandit, but you have to EMP one wall before doing it. That would necessitate Cluter being out of position, and Cluter actually dies. That should allow at least the first of those 2 Selmas to go off. The second one may not be able to go off as cleanly because of the EMP timing, but Chromatic is already up. They've created themselves a free rotate hole, and there's a couple shots on a Delicate who's down to low HP, but so too is Chromatic from Trench as the rotation from Yunkin, has gone through it near perfect timing. The C4 being ripped, though. They escape safely, but the C4 shot, I believe, before it goes off. Either way, it has no impact. And we've made it a 4v4 with 2 players, now actually 3 players on low HP.
Same issue playing both of these teams. Raptors control established very early on for the attackers. That shotgun finding the body of Stroker, the sledge to go down. Madagascar is the ace, finds one. Pyramids just hops into the site. No one to contest him at all. Pyramids finds another kill. Yunkin, the Valkyrie, tries to walk up the red stairs, but they're dusted by the Yana yet again, finding another for themselves. 3 on the round for the Yana. Silo walking from down below. Spots one, but isn't able to land the shots. The Yana Pyramids jumps in the window, though. Completely unaware of their opponent. Diffuser nearly going down, and it does. The Jackal now has got outside of the breach. Chromatic does a little bit of chip damage. That should allow enough time for the Ace to rotate around into good, solid cover as the timer works against the Diffuser and Silo, the defender. Pings inside of Cash are excellent for her opponent, but Madagascar's is better in the engagement, finding the headshot on the Silo. A very excellent attacking round. As .K now face desperation and a chance to win this match, slowly slipping away from their fingers as Paraphernalia have reached match point in this group stage match.
Like, all the information that Paraphernalia needed was there as well. That was the most important factor of that round. A clear walk into garage while the bandit was distracted with the wall. You get the wall open for a clear line of sight, and then Chromatic opens up that garage rotate for themselves. You have all the lines of sight you need. Even with the Valkyrie trying to play down below, it doesn't work for you. And now in a 6-2 game, Paraphernalia have a clear and obvious advantage. There's not a heck of a lot that is looking to go .K's way. And, I mean, winning the bottom floor, certainly an opportunity for them, but you have to play a very good bottom floor defense against a mechanically gifted Paraphernalia. If you want to even stay alive here, then we can start talking comeback.
Yeah, it's a tough hill to climb, right? Especially here on Clubhouse. You have the defensive advantage at least, but the fact that you've already lost the only round you could have given up to even force overtime is not a good sign here for .K. All the pressure after last round, I said, shifted towards Paraphernalia. It's back on .K because they have to go flawless. They have to go clean 4 defensive wins in a row here on Clubhouse. And although it's doable, it is extremely difficult. And I can tell you that .K are going to struggle against this solid roster that seems to be in the name of Paraphernalia. They begin working on their garage take. Stroker has good information and gets the kill onto the Vigil. Delicate not able to escape territory of Rafters in time. And Stroker quickly taking that garage control. Not a good sign to start off the round for .K, losing their man advantage.
So, disaster's already struck. I was wondering how this goes. How is a Frostman not placed properly? That's usually something you just put at the bottom of the ladder and you have a free kill. It seems like young Stroker gets another breath of life through them. The still issue is, with 2 minutes, how does Paraphernalia play this? All their information has just been freely handed over. Granted, they're not playing any information-based operators, so that could be a null and void point with the lack of default cameras on the bottom floor. But Cluter inside of dirt for some reason. Silo swinging knows the TCSG. They lose it. Young Stroker fights a second. And that could be it, but with a third kill, or make it a 3v3 picked up, maybe we're not done just yet.
Stroker inserting themselves inside of blue. Seem to know there's a player inside of Moto, but lose the engagement to Youngkin. Excellent kill by the Frost to secure the man advantage as the round boils down. It seems like a swift execute onto the bomb site. Gascar is not wanting to get that kitchen hatch open, instead trying to walk down the main stairs and might be able to couch Velfate off guard if they do in time, and they do just that, finding the kill onto the Jaeger, and Youngkin is such low HP. It's an easy kill for the Ace of the AK-12 at hand. Glutero finding one headshot onto Chromatic as the Ace has found their way in sight, begins to get that diffuser down. Is there information for the smoke to work off of as they walk in through the main hall? The case has gone down. Clock now works against the defender here. They rotate from behind, but are not able to catch the Ace. They see the foot. They know where the head is. They throw a Toxic Babe. It does a little bit of damage, but not even. As Glasscar has to walk through the hallway, but Cluter gets the win because the default cam was left up by the attacker. And it's an excellent clutch by the smoke as .K keep themselves in for at least one round further.
You know what I find really ironic? I said the lack of default cameras on the bottom floor, and then the only default camera on the bottom floor ends up being the most impactful bit of information in the round. .K, the only info that was placed on the bottom floor. They had no beepers down there. They had no bulletproof cameras down there. Not a single player on the defensive side was playing an information-based defensive operator. Nothing. And the only bit of information that the game gives you by default, apart from the fact that the diffuser was planted, was still left up for free, and they use it to win the round. There's just no way in which that's supposed to be the case. The correct adverb there is wow. Wow, oh wow. How did .K escape with that round?
Couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you, Dan. They just barely got by that one, but they've got 3 more to do it, to force overtime, and then they'd have to, yet again, win more rounds in the OT side. Now, I would think that they would have the overtime side choice as they started on attack, then they get defense, right? And then if they pick the map of Clubhouse, which I assume they did, and they would also get to pick the OT side, unless they picked to start attack. And I could be all wrong, and it would be Paraphernalia who would get the start on the defense. Point being, Paraphernalia are still close to getting the win, but not out of the woods yet. .K showing that they can be strong, showing that they can still win these rounds. But they've got to get another one under their belt here to get a little bit more confidence in them and put those nerves back into Paraphernalia, just what I was talking about originally when the defense had started for .K. Paraphernalia will work over the garage side up. They've got to deal with Delicate the Vigil, who's died early a couple of times now, but is in a better position to not immediately be wasted off the board.
Well, a heavy sigh, and maybe a breath of fresh air for .K. But Paraphernalia, by no means, are out of this. I do like how .K have really just sent a single player straggling somewhere in the map that has changed every round, making sure that Paraphernalia at least have to worry about a different position and are always taking slow approaches. These slow approaches are costing them valuable time because they don't have the time to start with. The 4v5 already necessitates they play quickly. Combine that with the fact that they're having difficulties from the start. K does not get off an Electro Claw immediately, but is still playing in this corner. Neither player sees the other until Matic Gaskar's head appears out of left field, or in that case, I suppose, right field. Despite it, TCSG lands on the head, and .K have the open.
It's a great start. Silly Cluter, the clutch master from last round, winning the 1 versus 2. Getting the opener and setting .K up for success early on. Delicate has a flank opportunity here up the red stairs as Silo finds a shot elsewhere there on to the Frost. Information aplenty there at top red stairs. Delicate now spotted, but decides to aggress rather than return, and they'll pay for it. Chromatic punishes the Vigil up on the red stairs. Pyramid's looking for an aggressive swing, but Silo just around the bend should find the shot, but they have to back off the angle due to the castle barricade. Broken on construction. It's a jump in by Pyramids, but they're caught by a bear mat as it's Chromatic left lonesome on their own in a 1 versus 4. Would have to one-up Silly Cluter to secure this map win for Paraphernalia, and with only 45 seconds left, Dan, I don't like the odds too much here for the Jackal of Chromatic, trying to walk through the door, but they can't even do that. Silo finds the kill with a nice couple of kills there for the Frost. I believe that was 2 or 3 on the round for herself.
And
.K are close.
They're escaping. They're escaping with a couple of these. A couple of these frags early. The rounds themselves seem fairly cohesive, but the kills early are really what churns things. An opening pick for .K is the most consequential thing that could happen in the round. If Paraphernalia find it, oh yeah, we're even. But if .K find it, oh, it's a 5v3? That's a different conversation. Paraphernalia understand what may end up working more in their favor, at least from this point onwards. Thermite on the board, Capital for information denial. They're running the Ayana as well. This could just be a complete bum rush of the site where you hold W as much as you can. It could also be a couple of late attacker swaps, and we could see something similar to what we saw last time. This is the only site that .K has lost on the defensive side thus far in this game. The only one. It could also be the one that cost them the game itself. We'll, however, have to wait and see.
This is the toughest site they have to go to for sure. Struggled, I believe, last time around, right? Paraphernalia did attack this site, and they got themselves into rafters rather early. Had some pretty solid control. It didn't go so well for the side of .K. Silly Cluter might be looking to defend rafters maybe a little bit more aggressively as the Kaid, and might look to use the aid of Vigil or Delicate down below to help themselves there. interesting use of the reinforcements to reinforce off all of the lodge walls as well as the construction hatch, maybe to prevent an Amaru from rushing in through that con side of the map, but I just don't foresee that being the case here from Paraphernalia. Obviously, we know that's not the case because we don't see an Amaru being brought out, but even then, I wouldn't ever see the need or the want for Paraphernalia to want to use the Amaru for the rush. As the wall gets opened up, and the round is underway until it's not. Excellent.
Wait. Watch where Cluter does this. What? Cluter's going to throw it too late. Because of how that exothermic charge works, as soon as that pops, it'll go off. They have to throw it away from the wall without it being frozen before the Tubarão canister engages, or away from the Tubarão canister before it disengages, and they don't do it properly. C4's thrown, it gets shot before it has any impact. But that would have been a free exothermic charge and maybe a second of Young Stroker that they just lose out on impact from. And Chromatic has garage control, I might add. They've also decided to, I don't know, shoot the default camera a few seconds late. Delicate's on the bottom floor of this. C4 lands properly. Chromatic should hear the visual. Turn around. He finally does it. He dies. And this round's over. It's virtually a guaranteed 12th round. Young Stroker needs to 1v4. They're 11-7 thus far. If they should 1v4, it would be a near miracle. But what in the world is going on in the Paraphernalia camp? How is their attack collapsing as much as it is?
They tried to just go quick. They tried to catch their opponents off guard. They had garage control. They had everything they needed. But that Nitro Cell was so deadly. I believe it came out of the pocket of Youngkin. I might be mistaken. But the Mute fighting a crucial C4 in the round as Stroker walks their way in. But they've got to contest with so many opponents. And Silly Cluter will just force the issue up the red stairs with the TCSG. The Slug Shotgun will be more than enough to put down their opponent. And .K are only one round from being out of the doghouse and finding us in overtime for the first time here today, Dan.
There are a few mistakes where Paraphernalia, you could argue this game should be over in the opposite direction. You could also argue Paraphernalia should have won this 7-3, 7-2. Yet here we are, 6-5. Paraphernalia has to attack the Church and Arsenal, which ended in a 1v1 defusal off the back of a default cam, I might add. And here, Paraphernalia seemingly don't have any leg in this race. Or horse in this race, or leg in this insert attempted idiom here. .K just seem like they own the defensive side, and it is working to near perfection for them, I might add. And it's no sweat.
Oh boy. Back to basement we go. This was the best opportunity, arguably, the Paraphernalia have had to win an attacking round since they've kind of been on that foot, right on that match point side. They were very close last time around. It was a 1-on-2 that Silly Cluter was able to clutch out. But now the situation's a little bit more dire, a little bit different. I think that if .K can force overtime, they could potentially force a nice little upset win over Paraphernalia, which would really set themselves in a nice chance. Yeah, I don't love that Frostmat placement. Placing it horizontal like that, I guess, or not horizontal, but what is it, like diagonally against the ladder, I guess might be able to catch someone off guard, because if they're shooting straight down and expecting it to be horizontal, right, then they might miss. But with an easy drone, Chromatic has spotted it and should easily be able to take out that bear mat. Whereas if it's a little bit more flat against that ladder, the drone might miss it. It might not be able to see all the way down. It's early control vested here by Paraphernalia, but is that a member of .K invested all the way in Strip Club? It is, I believe, the Vigil. No, it's the Echo playing late round inside the Strip Club as Valfate finds the opener onto the IQ. Those yokai drones are going to be ever more potent in this round now that the IQ has gone off the board. And Silly Cluter has a flank, finds one, but there's still another player upstairs. It's the Buck of Pyramids who gets the kill. Kitchen Hatch not reinforced. It's easily accessible here. But still, so many puzzling things to me in this round, Dan, and it's all working in favor of .K.
So, there's still an extra logic bomb available. I don't know if they're aware that the Echo is being played. There's no information to us as to whether that's been hacked. Now, they know the Dokubi's being played, given the fact that not only are the cams hacked, but the first logic bomb of the two has gone off. The question still remains, do they clear out any of these Echo drones? Does the skeleton key work from that distance? No. And do they drone out the bottom side of Arsenal? Remember that C4 went off earlier. It had no impact. But Silo walking through here, the timing, he finds the headshot. Pyramids gets absolutely dusted. OT seems to be a near guarantee at this point. And Silo throws out their second of 2 logic bombs. That one, or sorry, echo drones. That Yokai will find one. That is a free kill. Silo finds another. And this one will go to OT. It was 5-1, I might add.
It was 5-1 for Paraphernalia, but .K won that one attacking round that was so crucial for them. If they hadn't, this match would be over. This series would be over. Paraphernalia would be out of the doghouse and have 2 wins under their belt in the group stage. Instead, they lose big time in so many rounds, back to back to back to back to back. It was 6-2 at one point, Dan. .K have strung 4 straight rounds together and now get the defensive advantage on their own end and will go to Gym Bedroom to start us off. Excellent choice by them. They've looked very solid here, and Paraphernalia are struggling more than ever in this disadvantage to compete with the firepower that has suddenly awoken from .K.
I don't understand how they're finding all this, too. That's what really surprises me. How they're escaping with so much from this. Opening kills are nearly always going their way. .K are finding so many rat angle plays that just weren't going as consistently Paraphernalia's way on their defensive side. Yeah, again, there's a player advantage, but that doesn't lead to as much of an opportunity as we're seeing thus far. Paraphernalia, also the worst possible scenario, starting the first half of OT on the attack. Means if we get to round 15, they'll be on the attack again. Overwhelming odds would tell us .K is going to win this game.
Well, .K have a good opportunity to close this match, potentially series out in just the next 2 rounds, forcing a defensive win, and maybe getting an attacking win. If they're not able to do it, then they get another opportunity on the defense. But winning this round here would be ever so important for themselves, as it forces all the pressure to go to the Paraphernalia side. Stroker with the Twitch, the FAMAS. Rarely play it anymore, but still fun to see. No vertical grip, so it really makes it like much more fun to get the handle on and control, right? Every gun in Siege, it makes it such a unique game. So many different ways that you can play. A nice crafty angle here by Pyramids. Actually, you can see the foot of someone in con, but there's no rotation that's being made. So there's actually no angle that Chromatic would be able to spot that player. Silo, who's positioned close on the con wall as it nearly gets opened up, but Silo can be forced off the angle. It's an excellent job by Paraphernalia trying to isolate each of these individual players. But so far, not going their way just yet, as they're not able to find any bodies. Does Diana get that drop successfully to Logi? They do. 2 members now of Paraphernalia with a lot of early control inside of logistics. A complete pinch of this take as Silo's looking to hold this Logi and go onto the sledge. And do they find the kill? No, they're dusted by Pyramids. The sledge better in the engagement, but Delicate from behind can play spoilers in this attack.
Wait, Delicate makes so much noise. How in the world do they find one? They don't get seen by the second, and they're going to get out alive. No, finally they'll be traded. It becomes a 2v3. Heck of a lot of opportunities for Paraphernalia to shut that down, because .K made so much noise on that rotation, but now Madagascars finds a second onto Cluter. It becomes a 2v2. This round will virtually decide the game. If Paraphernalia win it, they go into the defensive side, in which they only lost 1 round throughout the 6 they played. Should .K win it, they go into the attack where, yeah, they may lose, but they get to go to the defensive side where they also only lost 1 round of the 6 they played.
They might face their second loss on the defensive side, Dan. This is not the time that you want to face a loss if you're .K. Good information there on the ace as they walk into the hallway. They jump over and die to the bear trap. It's just down to Stroker. Taking the one with the shotgun. It's never going to work well enough when you've got the sidearm in hand and you're facing off against the Mossberg. And .K, for the first time in this match, Dan, have the lead and have secured match point here in overtime.
Now, how they escape with that, again, is questioning. But Paraphernalia make their first discernible mistake of the game, apart from maybe shooting the default cam all the way back in round number 7. Now, the main issue was they could not pick up the positions they needed. They had construction, yes. They had the balcony fully in their control, yes. They had logistics, sure. But the logistics wall into the site was reinforced. They wanted to walk through the master door, but they also didn't want to try and face bathrooms from that position. So instead, you jump across from logistics for some reason without having any information over towards main stairs, and you try and vault through that same gym window without having that same information you wanted inside of bathroom. And you lose both picks at the same time. You don't clear out a frost mat, which would have killed you anyway because you were trying to take a fight at the same time. And here .K is with a lead, and a very important one at that. They have no business having this lead, I might add.
They might not. They also might. They've been playing very well, despite their initial rough start on the attack. Now they have an opportunity to close out this match for once and all here on their attack of CCTV.
Attackers are moving out
Cash.
to locate a bomb and defuse it.
This is a great opportunity to get a win, but they've got to deal with Jaeger of Stroker inside a garage. I think that that's the key position that if .K can leverage, get that controller, like get that player off the board, find themselves in a 5v3, even a 4v3, they could potentially win this match. But they've brought out the Jackal. That signals potential roam clear activity. The Dokkaebi as well, also pairing very nicely with the Inox tracker to not only make noise, but then you get the Inox to see the feet and the actual location of your opponent. So you can see Velfate has a drone in rafters. They know about their opponent. And the EMP misses its mark on the Kaid Electroclaw. Those are the Impossicades. You better make sure you place that charge right. Otherwise, you've missed. And the wall won't get open. They missed both of their EMPs, Dan. And .K spelling tragedy for themselves on their own attack. And it might just go to round 15 to truly decide the victor once and for all.
These are what we call unforced errors as well. You've eliminated yourself from contention on that far side of the map. You've lost the fight inside a garage. That makes things even more difficult. And now Paraphernalia, with the player equalization, taking out the Jackal. They still have garage control. They have most of the default cams still up and active. They've got Valkyrie cams as well, clearing out what could be points of ingress. And they still only really have to worry about the construction wall and the logistics wall as they walk through. There's the Gemini replicator. That'll be taken out. The follow-up walk-in from Youngkin does not find any follow-up, at least nothing fruitful, and the swing from the Glaz is detected from the start. Again, the Valkyrie Black Eye camera escapes with a free kill, and still you have to worry about the Solus, who finds one from Master, making a second. Velfate doesn't turn around, and still no information from Youngkin, who dies as well. Does nobody turn around when their teammates get shot? Everybody has their headphones on backwards, and Paraphernalia tie us up.
Nobody has an idea. The fact that the information was good from behind and on the red stairs. Paraphernalia doing a great job in that round. The information aiding them aplenty. Even at 4 versus 5, they still were able to find the value in having a player somewhere with information to get their team the kills they needed. And now the pressure is on them because they're on the attack. Only 2 attacks have been won this entire game, Dan. 2 attacks the entire game, and it all lies down to this last round. .K with the advantage. Defense in favor many a times. We go to Church and Arsenal, where arguably .K looked amazing last time around here. That Echo Roam inside of Strip Club, probably to happen again. Honestly, Dan, if you want my opinion, your best shot at winning this round, if you're Paraphernalia, running straight through dirt. And I'm so serious. I think if they were to just 4-man through dirt, they might win the round because of how many bodies were caught off site last time around.
5 seconds remaining.
I would love to see them just try and leg it. Seriously, you see an extension from the Vigil again. You give yourself a reasonable 4v4. The only issue is Cluter's running exactly what they did the last time we saw this bottom floor, which is the smoke inside of dirt. And that makes that rush, what would be, so much more difficult, even if they wanted to go for it. A 7-7 draw as it stands. Paraphernalia, they also don't want to risk something like that. Pyramids is 9 and 13. Chromatic the opposite. Matic Gaskar's 15 and 10, Young Stroker 12 and 10. The only player individually who is positive on this .k side is Silo, but because there are less players to shoot at, there is less likelihood for you to be positive. It's actually more likely you'd be about a 0.8 KD than you would otherwise. Here, Paraphernalia are taking full advantage of it.
No,
Oh my
there's a bear trap under your window, Pyramids. That's going to hinder you for the rest of the round, and surely your opponents have heard you snap your leg. And for another 40 seconds or so, you'll just have to tread in your own blood. Try to secure at least a little bit of information for your team with the drone. I guess that is the best way to go. Well, you have to wait for that time to dwindle away. Silo potentially still sitting in the strip club with that Yokai drone, getting that information as needed. Is there any plan to get the kitchen hatch here? It looks like that's the plan in order. Vilfate could deny it with the two brows, and in theory, Delicate could come back to site and impact it, but that doesn't seem to be the case either. Chromatic will be key in identifying where these Yokai drones are. There's a lot of operators that can do the right job for Paraphernalia, but being in this 4v5, it is surely a disadvantage. And the hatch does get open, but Chromatic has also found a bear mat. Wow, the value from Youngkin, although they may be 6 and 9, is amazing. Just two members of the attack now have found fate to the bear trap. Pyramids could throw a nade, potentially find the Echo down behind the minibar inside a church. Youngkin, though, holding that long game, and only one bullet from that 9mm would be plenty enough to get the kill needed as Delicate takes down Stroker. And all of a sudden, the hopes of Paraphernalia are dwindling farther and farther away as the outcome is not looking to be in their favor. 3 versus 5, 40 seconds to play, 2 members at just 20 HP.
This game's not over, but Matic Gaskar's doesn't seem to be any bit concerned with Arsenal, which is the only place a person is sitting in at least that far corner under the hatch. Pyramid still has to clear out Memorial, and Youngkin has not seemingly been cleared. There's that Arsenal player being pushed out of position. Silo does get naded down to about 20 HP, but Pyramids and Chromatic are also at 20 HP, and from those 2 frost mats earlier, it is the single shot from the 9mm to close out 1. Will Chromatic die to the same fate? No. It's Clutter to walk through their own Toxic Babe, the shotgun to the back of the head, execution style, to close out this final round. And somehow, some way, after being 5-1 down, it is the defense for .K that changes the game and gives themselves Clubhouse.
We gotta say, it was an excellent effort from Paraphernalia. They were so close, and playing in that disadvantage certainly hurt them in this match. You have to imagine, Dan, with the talent of their players, the solid roster that they brought, they had all 5. They're probably winning that match. They're probably going maybe even perfect in the group stage, fighting for that number 1 seed for playoffs, which are happening tomorrow. Instead, they lose due to that unfortunate internet disconnect in their previous match, not able to continue with that player further on in this match because of the lack of internet that they have. And in the end, it was a really close game. We thought it was going to be a blowout, or we thought it was going to be really close, and it ended up being very close, although looking like a blowout to start the match. That being said, we've only got one more game to play, Dan.
We do.
More, and it's Group 1.
We are down to 1. We are headed to Group 1. It is Bad to Aim versus Broke Boys to close out our day. It's a feels bad man kind of moment for Paraphernalia. They have all 5 members. That game probably ends 7-2, but they don't. So it didn't. They lose 8-7 in the narrowest of fashions. It comes down to what it was, in all fairness, a 4v2. But it was a win nonetheless, and a good one for .K to come back. The mental fortitude to return from 5-1 down, certainly something to speak of. So too is the win they escape with. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's our first group of play and our last game of the day. We'll see you in a bit. One final game to decide how our group stage finishes here in the VESL Rainbow Six Siege $15,000 tournament. We've got qualifiers today. We had some of them yesterday. We've got our bracket streamed and played tomorrow as well. I'm time to light. That right there is Mason, or Klimps, or whatever he wants to go by these days. We'd probably call him Jeff. He'd still respond. Mason, we've got a third game. We've had two pretty good ones thus far, but I don't know. We're in a new group. The unknown once more is upon us.
Yeah, Group 2, which was our first game, seemed maybe a little weaker. I don't know. Their strategies seem to be very similar and kind of play out the same, right? Group 3 seemed the complete opposite. Seemed very good. The match was very close. It wasn't lopsided at all, right? It was a very competitive match. Even with it being a 4 versus 5, it still went all the way to round 15. And now in Group 1, it's unknown territory that we are treading to, as I'm being made fun of in the background for saying wound and not round. So I'll pronounce my R's. Thank you very much.
Widowy. Widowy. You should Widowy follow us on our socials.
Okay.
All right,
We're not making this a bit.
That's
We're not making this a bit,
right.
Dan.
Don't forget, follow us on our socials. We've got content wrapping up just about every other day or so. I've got the notifications turned on for the YouTube. A couple weeks ago, there was this fun build contest between some of the players from last year's states or something like that. It was pretty fun to watch. All in all, I enjoy it. So go follow the socials. And don't forget, if you too are a high school student in the state of North Carolina, you can register for VESL events. Or if you're not a high school student and you're just 18 years old or under and you still live in the state of North Carolina, you can also register for these events. You can visit vesl.gg to learn more about them. Now, on to our third game. We've got, as mentioned, group number 1. It is Bad Aim, or Bad to Aim, versus Broke Boys. Honestly, fairly unknown. I don't see any fun names. Voodoo Magic, I feel like that's redundant. You're Dead is, something I just type in chat most of the time when people try and talk smack. That's about it.
But usually you're the dead one.
That's true. But two things can be true at the same time, Mason.
Especially in staff 10 mans. You're always dead.
I could not tell you the last time I played staff 10 mans.
Yeah. There was like a game like a couple days ago. And that was it. And then we'll be back next quarter. Because we seem to play quarterly when we do staff 10 mans. Because, that's our quarterly meetup. We got our quota in. We got 2 games in. And we're done and on. But here for VESL, we're not done. Not yet. And not even at the end of the night will we be done. Because we'll have one more set of games tomorrow. That'll be the playoffs for our groups, where we'll see the best of the best contend for a big part of that $15,000 prize pool, $7,500 respectively for PC. Console, of course, not quite yet streamed. Maybe one day we'll get that, but PC play will still be fantastic as ever. Jackal, banned off the board. Again, good sign so far to start off our ban phase. It's an expected ban, with that being said. And Ying as well. It appears as though, Dan, am I wrong in saying that every game we've had so far, Ying and Jackal have been banned? Can we say that these
last
players
game was Thatcher.
do not like Ying and Jackal? Okay. Sorry. On Oregon and Clubhouse, which, by the way, we're on border, which is super, super cool because we're not getting a boring map as Capcan goes off the board. Okay. Okay. No straps. No traps. Straps. Traps to be strapped to the doors. I'm struggling today with my words, Dan. This is a rough one. After a long working day in the working world, okay, it gets tough, okay? Words become difficult. Everything mushes together.
This is what it's like being
Rainbow
old.
Six Siege. Yeah.
I woke up. I woke up at
10:30.
I went to the mall, and then I set up for this broadcast. That's it.
I went to my job. I went to my job, my career, which, if you're a high school kid wanting something to do, a cool job is cybersecurity and computers and stuff.
No,
it links pretty well to video games.
Not a cool job, a well-paying job. Those
both,
are two very
actually.
different things.
Thank you very much. They're both very nice.
To each their own.
Okay.
Everybody enjoys their own thing.
Listen, all I'm saying.
Fun fact: I went to technical school for high school for cybersecurity.
And look at what happened to you.
Yep, I went to communications.
Attackers need to locate and defuse the bomb.
How the mighty have fallen, as our observer said.
Yep.
Well, we hop into the first round at Border. It's to Armory and Lockers we go. Frost has been a popular pick between many of these teams. Glaz as well. Resurfacing. We saw a lot of Glaz play back on Oregon in map number 1. We're seeing him resurface at least a little bit here. That can signify a rather rapid east side take, as you've got all 5 members of Broke Boys spawning on the east side. I can only imagine the play here is to walk that Monty right into the archives door. You're dead, potentially the Finca right on behind. Glaz covering from the window, and an easy plant.
Attacker's objective is to defuse
Hopefully
the
an
bomb.
easy play at least, but we've seen... Oh, okay. Well, say goodbye to 1. They can still rehost if they call for it. They know what a rehost is. I don't know how often these players play comp on a consistent basis. We'll say they can rehost if they respond by the time. Yep. Maybe not. Do they want to rehost? I mean, they've already got a 4v4. Well, they can't now. Yeah, that's right. They said they crashed, but they didn't call for anything past that. PSA to all the high school players who may be watching this. RH or rehost is something you do at the beginning of a game, should there be an issue during the game. If your technical issue occurs while.
Oh!
Okay. Almost a second. I thought they were going to find that too. They find a second, and Jacked is gone. Okay, I'll get back to my point later once we pause in between rounds. There's a shotgun out for T-Trooper. And Broke Boys, even with their player disadvantage, already have a 3rd kill. And yet, they don't seem too perturbed by the fact they're missing a player. There we go.
Excellent kill, though, by the Jaeger. Emoji. Getting that kill. Fighting bodies back. Voodoo Magic down and off the board. You're dead. Getting the frostbite. Not quite dead, though, as the Jaeger will get aggressive and go for the swing. The Monty not doing a good job of protecting their fellow comrades, as all of a sudden Cancer Crab hits the deck. It's a 2-on-2. You're dead. Trying to stay up. They've boosted themselves at least a little bit to heal on that HP as Resource begins to get the diffuser down. Great coverage, though, by the Finca from the window of the Monty. Over Resource will decide to ADS their own opponent, get their own frag themselves. And Broke Boys, despite losing a member early on, end up getting the kills they need to win the first round.
Okay, so we're going to have our observer explain the general rule set. But the TLDR, if you'd like to see me visualize it with my hands, you can disconnect at any point in the game. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, if you disconnect before the 2-minute and 30-second mark, or the 30-second mark into the action phase, or before that into the prep phase, or during the operator selection phase, whatever. And
Someone
there is no damage done. Yes, and there is no damage done at that same time. This does not count team damage in prep phase. If there is no damage done there, then you can rehost the game. Rehost basically means you send everybody back to the lobby, and the observer, inside of the game settings, will set the round score, whatever it may be. This can happen in round 14. It can happen in round 1. That would have been the easiest call. The problem is you have to call it before the 2-minute 30-second mark of the action phase, or before somebody takes damage, whichever one happens first. In this case, it was not done so, despite the observer obviously asking them, and thus they were not able to have said rehost. Now, it didn't really hurt them. They won the round anyway, but it could have hurt them in the long run. So we are going to have that clarified to them. We're going to clarify it to you, maybe to any of the high schoolers here. We are playing, I believe, by the Blast Global rulebook, apart from the skins, because then no round would actually go off, because everybody's playing with their skins on. These are not fully comp players. It's not your fault. But apart from that, we will go and abide by the Blast Global rulebook, again, apart from the skins.
Yeah, and I think that that the players probably just need a good refresher. Of course, it is a very in-depth and thorough rulebook, and if you haven't been around, right, you kind of get confused. There's a lot going on in that rulebook, and thankfully all this forehead has at least got a little bit of memorization for myself. I have to say it at least once, Dan. You haven't picked at me at all on broadcast, which I'm so surprised at, because you're always just like, throwing darts, like
I mean,
right there, because it's
Hey,
such
if
a
I
big
was throwing
target,
darts,
like-
I'd have too big of a target to land. It's not fun anymore.
Exactly. Oh, okay. I get it. It's boring. I get it. It's boring. It's okay. It's okay. Emmett from the Lego Movie, still yapping over there. Still doing some yappage, but that's okay. Point being, yeah, it is unfortunate that the one team did lose their player, but it actually worked out for them in the end. They still got the round win, and maybe that's to foreshadow. We still haven't played a full game yet, Dan, since map 1 that it wasn't a 4v5. And that's, funnily enough, the 4v5 team winning the first round signifies very similar to last map on a Clubhouse. Now, Border is a map that tends to be very iffy, right? It can be attacker favored, it can be defender favored. It depends on how the team's set up. And so far, it seems to be a little bit more of that attacker advantage just based on the way they went through the attack last round.
Yeah, I'm also questioning how Bad Aim decide to try and adjust to what maybe 5 players down the line. You're hopefully looking at somebody not crashing their game out a second time, so we'll assume that Bad Boys, or Broke Boys, play the rest of this one without all 5. But we'll get back into the game. Another clarification just for everybody's peace of mind, should it happen down the line. If anybody saw that, Broke Boys called a timeout before the following round started. That was the scoreboard, that was the timer at the top of the screen. We transitioned away from that before it even went off with maybe 5-10 seconds. Now, that was a timeout intended for tactical purposes, so they may be able to call a timeout down the line, and the observer will give it to them. They'll just sit inside the lobby. Whereas Bad Aim still have their full tactical timeout available. That happens through the game. It's a whole thing. TLDR, Broke Boys still have a timeout. And they don't have a challenge in order to alleviate that for maybe Charlotte Panthers fans out there, or Carolina Panthers fans up there. I was thinking Charlotte FC.
Panthers.
I was thinking Charlotte FC and Carolina
FC?
Panthers.
Not even the Hornets, or like
Well,
any
no,
of the
look
other
at the top
actual
left of the
decent
screen.
teams?
Look at the top left of the screen. There's a little Carolina Panthers logo and Charlotte FC logo.
Is
It's a
that Charlotte
combined
FC?
ownership.
I don't watch soccer, so I don't know.
It's a combined ownership. They play in the same building, and they're both sponsors of VESL.
See, I don't know.
Come on,
anything
Mason.
about
Didn't you
Carolina
read the
because their
145-page
football
document we sent you?
team- Sorry,
didn't
their
send him
football
that.
team just isn't very good. So
Bryce Young who?
sorry, Panther fans. It's just a salty Cardinals fan being upset about the playoffs back in 2015. I'm allowed to be upset. I'm allowed to hold my grudge.
Your grudge is against everybody. You don't win anything.
Yeah, all of my teams suck in all sports. I'm so sad. As an Arizona fan, because that is where I'm from, I am a sad person when watching any sports. So I get my love through esports, and maybe
Default cams are still up, people. That's why you gotta shoot those.
Is that a Jinxie turn? Is that a Jinxie
I mean,
turn
their name
on-
is
on
Bad at Aim. Their name is Bad
Yeah.
at Aim.
Yeah, it is literally on like the website. They have drum emojis in their name to roll the R's. So
That's funny.
I'm not even gonna attempt it because I'll probably make myself look.
Bad
like a
Aim.
fool.
Bad Aim. Oh, that's
And
pretty
now,
good.
now you saying it makes me want to attempt it, and I'm hating that you have it now. As the same attack seems to be underway, and the same start. As the glass falls early on, this jacketing finds the opener, and the Monty of Resource has taken a lot of damage. You'd think that the attack would want to throw some of those smokes, right? Block off those lights and sight. Just try to get that diffuser down, but maybe it doesn't matter. They've got 2 early kills as Jacker has found themselves up through the 90 hallway, and Resource, ADS is on the Lunar with the pistol, finding one, has hit the deck though, but you're dead, trying to confirm the kill. But Lion gets the body down. No Finkastim coming through. Of course, that would have revived the Monty, potentially saving his life, but instead will continue the round at a 3-on-2 advantage still to the attack.
There's still the advantage, but there's still a C4 and an impact on this defensive side. Combine that with the fact that there's not a heck of a lot of real estate gained by Broke Boys, despite the fact that they've picked up 3 kills thus far. Very interesting way as to how this round has gone out. Lions repositioned courtesy of that impact grenade from earlier, and Jacked has still not left this position. I wouldn't be surprised if they just hold steadfast. There's no reason for them to move, at least not as of right now. Diffuser going down, safely so I might add, behind the bomb chassis. C4 will miss by a country mile. There was forever and a day between that and the diffuser being planted. And there's a swing from your dead. There's the kill as well. Lion's going to walk in through Fountain, but the problem is the timing just hasn't gone their way. Apparently no sound cue for your dead, but the cross across Fountain, they should die from behind, but Jactor's missed the opportunity, and Lion knows they're there. The timing still, however, will go the Lion's way against Lion the name. And it's Broke Boys with a second.
Lion killing Lion. Friendly fire. Friendly fire. Well, Broke Boys, 2 attacks, 2 successes. And Bad Aim will probably have to swap off this Armory Locker side unless they don't. They feel confident that they might win it another time around. No, they do decide to swap over to Bathroom Tower. It's definitely the smart play. If it hasn't worked for you twice, I'm sorry, but third time's the charm isn't usually the case here in Rainbow Six Siege or in esports. Sometimes it can be, but just a little bit later on, right? So give it some time, settle that site down, go somewhere else, force your opponents to show more of their strategies, more of their pocket, right? And then be able to craft your defense the next time you go back to that highly contested site of Armory and Archives and see if you can't then get a win, right? It's all about adjusting to your opponent, especially here on board or a map that does favor the attack quite often more than not. As a defense, you've got to be able to bring the right operators to stop your opponents from finding round wins that matter. And the Monty, I would argue, has been very strong thus far against Bad Aim. The Glaz hasn't really been doing much, so there's no worry about bringing a Warden or anything of the sort. But maybe a trap or two. Legion is going to be an excellent counter against Resource, and then as well could also stop those Finka Freedom Surges from healing those teammates to full HP.
10 seconds left.
I mean, you at least have a swap off in terms of playing on that Azami. One thing we saw in the previous round was just not controlling your lines of sight properly, not having 90 control, really not playing anywhere else other than that main position over towards Archives. I'd like to see that change here. You have a little bit of extension with Kimoji. Hopefully something changes on that front. You've also got a reinforcement on the hatch, so at least the first step is done on that front. But continually running this Buck and running the Glaz, which they seem comfortable in, especially considering the first round. If Broke Boys get that level of comfortability into consistency, this game could end before it really even starts.
Slow attack to start off by Broke Boys. This time they're actually forced to clear more of the map than to just go for that initial rush, right? So this is where we get to see actual strategy come into play. They got CCTV control and now begin to work their way down onto the first floor of Customs. It doesn't appear that any defenders of Bad Aim are in that position, but should your dead try to walk out into that 90 hallway, there's a player nearby, near the Armory Locker side. I don't know if that's Trooper in that position. No, Trooper is inside a tower already, engaging in a fight near Passport and that square area. It's Kimoji on the Solus up above. That's the concern there for those attackers clearing out CCTV and Custom. No longer a concern.
Yeah.
No longer a concern.
I was about to say, it was a fairly short-lived concern and a confident clearance for Broke Boys. Lunar sitting inside of Bathroom, being either naded out of position or closely being forced out of it. They try and swing onto the Buck, but they die because Cancer Crab's holding from distance. T-Trooper sitting in a corner. There's a Mira on the other side of that, by the way, and there's a fairly quick kill. Jacked, there's a very low likelihood of you winning this. First kill at least makes it a somewhat possibility, but not much past that. Close range is the OTS, and still very deadly at that. The kill comes through, and even a no-scope from a DMR closes out the round. 3 confident rounds thus far for Broke Boys.
And there's not much the Azami is going to be able to achieve there, right? It's 1 versus 5. You can see they kind of struggle to hit their shots in that spot on their own. There's just not much you're going to be able to do, truthfully. Broke Boys, 3 for 3 on attacks, and they've been dominating, especially in these last couple rounds, now that they've had full strength in their attacks. And it'll be a Ventilation Workshop now attempted by Bad Aim. I do like that they keep cycling their sights right, and they're bringing the Goyo now. I think that that's an excellent swap over to try to slow down their opponents. The castle might also prevent some of those long lines of sight from being held should Broke Boys not swap over to another breacher with that long breaching ability, right? Like a Zofia to be able to aid the Ash in opening up those castle barricades wherever they may be.
Well, they'll swap to another site. At least not trying the same thing repeatedly. We see that as a problem multiple times over. I like this decision. Keep swapping, figure out what may work in your favor. The defensive side's not going to be as clean as you like, especially at this point in the game, so continually swap and find out what works. It's like trying to cook spaghetti, throwing it at the wall, and see what sticks. In this case, they're just trying to cook opposing Rainbow Six Siege players. I guess.
10 seconds to go. 5 seconds left before insertion.
What Mason's saying, maybe too, by the way, is our observer saying, do you think they're sticking to the wall? No. As of right now, no. But there's certainly opportunities for them to do so.
There are opportunities. There's plenty of opportunities. Table. And TTL. I don't know why I said table and I said TTL. This game is full of opportunities. I was thinking of like another production person because I like briefly looked over. So I'm sorry. I looked at another chat and you know, other people were on my mind, Dan. I'm sorry. Sometimes it's like that. It's a good entry already by Your Dead and Broke Boys as they get themselves inside of Armory. And now can begin to work vertical play. They've got the fuse, they've got the ram, the buck. I mean, there's so much they're going to be able to do to cause calamity inside of the bomb site. Ensure that cluster charge might just find a body or two as it pops up. And down goes Lunar, blown sky high as they force himself into a corner. It's a free kill for Resource. He might just double down if they're able to find the Kaid of Jack. But they walk up the Armory stairs, the metal stairs. And is there anyone to stop the Cade from coming through and doing massive damage on their flank? It does appear so as the fuse quickly swings the corner and forces the Cade back home.
Well, he's going to shoot the Vulcan canister. I thought he was going to try and run right by it. Turns out that was actually the correct decision with the far side Malusi trying to get involved in the play. At this point, it doesn't seem like it's going to cost him all that much, but two players are completely segregated from the site. This becomes a lot more problematic for the defense, who does not have as much site control as, ironically, the attack does as of right now. Kimoji also has to worry about the main door, which is being encroached upon very much so. Cancer Crab finds one. There's a follow-up from Lion, so there's a step in the right direction for the defensive side, but a return from Jactor. Goodbye, Kimoji.
Excellent shot, and Voodoo Magic finally getting another body in Lion to go down. They've still got the shield of Fuse to work with, and Trooper been spotted as Jactor gets the kill. The Legion has to run away, but they get the shotgun down. The Shorty does the damage enough to take down the Fuse. Jactor, with this time, has been able to get that diffuser down, and Voodoo Magic has coverage down the hallway on the left side. T-Trooper has to worry about their rearward flank, but Voodoo Magic is better. The OTS is just too powerful at that close range to get the kill down, and Broke Boys go 4-0 on their attacking side of border.
And it's not done. I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon. Even the slight mistakes they're making are being very easily redeemed by the remaining members who are still alive. This has looked like a very good offensive setup. And the only problems they've really made are when they get caught off guard by players they have not cleared because of droning, or in this case, a lack thereof. Bad aim, they're also making some adjustments. The problem is those adjustments are being very easily sussed out by the offense of Broke Boys. Here's a Cav. If the Cav gets seen by a drone, I think the round ends right then and there. If not, maybe there's an Achilles heel going into this 5th round of play, but it's still just a maybe.
Are you saying that the win condition is Cav?
I will always say the win condition is Cav, because in the few times I've played Rainbow Six this season, you know, to avoid cheaters and all, every time I've played Cav, if I stay alive and or get a kill, I win the round. If I do neither of those two things, then we lose the round. So, all I'm saying is that there is a correlation.
I mean, but is your bronze gameplay really a correlation to this esteemed high school play? I don't think so.
We saw a diamond background earlier,
Yeah.
so probably not.
So these guys are way better than you.
5 seconds to go.
Yeah, you're meat compared to Broke Boys and Bad Aim, and all the other teams that we've seen thus far. Maybe you'd be able to compete in that first match. The first match you might have a chance.
I probably would have gone over. I would have had a rebrand
Dan
to
knows
Owen.
Owen.
Yeah.
Dan knows Owen. Owen's a close friend of Dan.
And it's actually just a pseudonym, so people don't call me Owen while I'm broadcasting.
Actually, twins. Identical. Oh! Twitch drone going crazy in 90.
But, okay.
Yeah, this is...
Can I retract my previous statement? The whole point of Cav is, like, your gun's kind of awful, but your ability is the gameplay here.
Yeah, and there's not much you're going to do with the Cav in sight, right? Like, to be able to pull off an interrogation insight would have to be based off of one attacker willy-nilly rushing in and no help behind him. We've not seen that from Broke Boys. We've not seen where Broke Boys don't play together, right? They've been playing with each other. They've been playing to help each other and aid each other. And the Cav has gone down and died. Your win condition is off the board, Dan, as Looter looks to force the issue outside of the armory door and aggress onto their opponents. Doing a little bit of shock damage. You've got Kimoji, the mute, shortly following behind. But still, nothing to be done as of yet, as the Kiva Berries blocking off that fountain entry into Archives. So far, Bad Aim are doing a good job of stalling Broke Boys out, but eventually something's going to crack, and Broke Boys are going to find a way in.
They're running the glass, and close quarters, this is a dangerous prospect. It doesn't seem like it's been noted thus far. Nobody's looking in this general direction, other than maybe Jacked, who's cut in a corner. Sledge opening up the castle barricade, or the regular barricade, allows them to just clear out so many easy positions that would otherwise be very difficult to push out of position. They also have flashes on that side should they need them, and it seems like they're going to use them to near full effect. If this Azami gets away with a kill, they'd be very lucky to do so. It doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. They get blocked by their own gun. Buck finds a kill from distance, just walking through. Will Lion stay alive? I don't think the answer is yes. Buck is planning behind Lion. Malusi's just waiting in a corner, who's yet to be cleared, by the way. Diffuser goes down, and Lion has nothing to do about it. And now they're trying to rotate the opposite direction inside the small office. They fight a second. They're on for the ace, but they reload the worst possible time. The OTS will close out the round, and I've lost a few brain cells.
Lion ever so close to pulling off that clutch, but in the end, the swarm from Broke Boys was stronger than ever. What did I say, Dan? Something had to crack, and it was that Archives hold just not holding firm enough. And eventually, that forced all of the attention from Bad Aim over to that side, where the Buck was able to sneak in from behind, find not only one kill, but then also get that diffuser down. Shocking that the diffuser went down on the armory side, considering all of the control that Broke Boys had. But for some reason, it worked, and I guess I can't question them, because it worked. So, that being said, Broke Boys 5-0 on their attacking half. Now, we've seen it be this drastic and dire before, right? For a team like Bad Aim, where they lose 5 rounds in a row. Very similar to last match, in which it was .K, who actually won the game. They lost 5 rounds straight. They won round number 6, round number 7, lost round number 8, and then won out until overtime, where they swapped around again, and then won in the end to close out that match, right? So it is still possible that Bad Aim can come back in this match, but with the way that Broke Boys have played, I just don't know if I foresee that outcome.
I would not be surprised if this ends up being a round in which Bad Aim win. They're back on Arsenal, or Armory Archives. They seemingly have some adjustments in terms of their defensive composition. The castle barricade that I mentioned in the previous round was just premonition, not fact. They are bringing a castle here. They also have a Solus, which I like. I really don't think Bandit Cade comboed is a good call, especially in a site like this, but if they want to play for more wall denial, I don't hate it.
Yeah, they'll keep the walls easy peasy. No squeezy. As long as they're able to keep them closed with the Thatcher of Resource 72 being available to Broke Boys. That's going to be the biggest play, right? Is figuring out where that Thatcher and Ace combination is going to end up on this map. Does it open up that Archives wall in through Office, right? Holding that long angle all the way through the site, cutting off a lot of the rotation available to the defense? Or do they go to the Armory main wall, which it appears as though they are going? The Thatcher repelling up Ace to follow in suit. An EMP or two to drop off on that main armory wall, and eventually that wall to be open because there's no one in sight, no bandit, no Cade, nothing to deny this wall from being open.
There goes the Selma. Doesn't seem like anything will be able to shut that down. Lunar's just taking the fight, and they see the legs. They'll take the shots and the kill. Kimoji drops down Voodoo Magic as well. And it's a 5v3 based off of a Castle who didn't know what they were shooting at, and a Solus who has found at least something to start shooting at. Make it a 4v3 as the kill goes back.
Attackers recovered the bomb.
Still very winnable here for Broke Boys, although in the disadvantage. We've got a lot of these angles opened up, but the Kaid of Jacked wins the engagement. Resource, oh, big whiffers there inside of CCTV, and Jackter tries to fight back, but it's Kimoji the Solus teed up at just the right time, and Dan, we might be seeing a replay of what we saw last match in our very own eyes. Bad aim. Get a round win when they needed it most, and now they have the attacking side and potentially the advantage.
I'd at least like to see them stop making some of those early round mistakes on the bad aim side. They at least remedied that there. They played around positions despite the fact that there was a wall opening. They were comfortable playing around those openings. But the problem was they didn't find as much as they could have. Yes, they win the round. Yes, there's something to build off of. But Broke Boys, it seemed like it was the mistakes that gave bad aim the round rather than the bad aim prowess that did it.
Well,
Attackers need to locate and
it's the
defuse
side
bombs.
swap. It's really what plays into the key here for bad aim. Can they begin to leverage the Monty, the Glaz potentially, and the other operators that they bring here on their armory attack? They've got to start off strong here to try to shift the momentum back into their favor. Getting one round win before that side swap is ever so important if you're going to win one round on any side at all. At least it's in the first half to where you've got that momentum shift, right? Or it's at the very end of the half so that you get the momentum propelling, whether it be into overtime or into your defensive/offensive side, respectively. So,
5 seconds
bad
left
aim.
before insertion.
Got to get one here. This is a big round for them.
Attackers are moving to
But
defuse
I would
the bomb.
argue that Broke Boys have brought out a really strong defense that Mira is going to be tough to play against, especially with no Twitch being brought out, no Ash, no Kali to deny the sight lanes established by those Black Mirror windows.
At least bad aim is aware of the possibility of some spawn peaks. If somebody hit T-Trooper in that position that early in the round, I'd say they deserve it. Spawn peaks like that are just nasty. People have them, but, I mean, go outside. Broke Boys defense, I mean, back to the top floor. They have made a couple adjustments. The Rook, they're also trying to run this Solus again. I'd like to see something on the defensive side just extend away from the site. We really haven't seen that apart from, I guess, the CCTV position in the previous round, back when the sides were swapped. But, I mean, there's no guarantees.
EMP on the main wall, but it's been stopped. They did not identify the bandit battery. You're throwing it too high. You have to throw it at the very bottom of the wall, and thankfully, at least part of that armory wall gets opened up, and some of those Vulcan canisters are also destroyed and knocked away. But it's going to be significantly more difficult to walk your way into the bomb site with only part of that wall open and not as many long angles as established as you might want, because you can't really see into the site from rappel with only that right side of the wall being open. You really need both sides to be open so that way you can at least put more pressure on any players that are in half wall.
T-Trooper goes straight into, I believe,
Is that a
bandit
bandit
electrified
barbed wire?
wall. Or barbed wire.
Oh,
That's insane. Kimoji,
beautiful.
wow, that's confidence. Just opening up the wall right next to a mirror window while nearly knowing a mirror's behind it. Now swinging it because the mirror had to back away. And now you have control of a position you shouldn't otherwise. Voodoo Magic goes down, and nobody else is here to refrag while Resource is able to get picked up and escape a different direction. The gridlock is down. At the same point, there's somebody else on the far side of Armory. They get dropped as well.
Oh.
It is chaos personified, and yet bad boys, bad aim, are being dropped by Broke Boys, and I'm still so confused. Lion misses. Oh my goodness. And the mirror window opens, and he should die here. No, he doesn't. Oh my goodness gracious.
How?
I can't believe it.
Okay, there's just so much that has happened in the last 30 or so seconds, but in the end, when the dust settles, Broke Boys have the advantage. Trooper looking for information, with the Brava Clutch drone.
15
Sets that
seconds
drone
to
into
go.
90 and does get that 90 camera hacked
10
in
seconds
a way.
remaining.
Lion in sight, getting the plant down. There's no time left on the board. There's no coverage. Where is
What?
the Brava? But the ace gets the kill. Trooper out of nowhere, hopping in through the small office, gets the coverage needed. But
What?
Crab from behind finds one at the double on a second. As Broke Boys will win this round, barring no Claymore, no explosive end by that Vulcan canister. They'll get the counter defuse, and Broke Boys find themselves a match and series point in our final match of the night.
What is going on? What? Serious question. What is going on? You have a player jump in, not seeing the player through the breach, which was noted earlier, by the way. Walking through the small office, not seeing a player through the breach. Dying through the same window of the small office. And the Brava goes prone for some reason. That was a decision. Broke Boys now up 6-1, and I'm not sure if they should be. We also see another diamond background. Cancer Crab has played the castle before. I didn't notice it last time. That's fun. Kamoji has a champion background.
That'll be Kamoji.
It's 6-1. That's the only thing we know for sure.
Defenders, protect
Is
your
what we
bombs
do
from
know.
being defused
Yep.
by
We do know that Broke Boys could potentially end the series here after this round. Bring out the Tachanka, the Lord himself, to potentially close out. It's been honestly kind of a fun day of
Oh, yeah.
casting. Sometimes I find myself looking at the clock and like, oh my goodness, I want to be done. I want to be done. Like, I'm tired. This is rough. It hasn't fully been that case here. Maybe a round or two where I'm questioning my sanity, right? But in the end, I've actually had a little bit of fun watching how high school play translates over into the competitive side, and it's truthfully not terribly far off of some of that mid to lower level tier of collegiate play, which is kind of what you'd expect out of these players, right? So the fact that they've been able to hold their own, you've seen some definitely talent and skill come out of these players, but a little bit of coaching could definitely go a long way, and hopefully at least Dan and I can pose a little bit of that insight here on the broadcast in the booth and present some of our experience to these players, and hopefully they'll be able to watch some of the VOD back, those that have been casted and those that haven't, even to get a little bit of VOD review on their opponents and also understand what their opponents do wrong so that they can take advantage of it tomorrow come playoff time.
So, I'd like to see Broke Boys just completely turtle this site. They do have one player separate. Seems like a second as well. Kamoji knows about the second, but Jactor backs away as a logic bomb goes off. P90 popped inside of Workshop. This is a decision of all time, but it seems like a fairly decent one considering the position he currently faces. Drone is good, at least sees him, but Jactor does not care in the slightest, and Lunar gets down from distance, and Cancer Crab just hides in the same process. They will not be able to finish off the kill they were looking for earlier, and they actually die in the same process. So it's a player advantage for Bad Aim rather than disadvantage, off of an overzealous castle.
That Monta being down is huge. And
What?
Jactor
What?
can't control the P90, can't get control, get that kill needed. Voodoo tries to throw a C4, but they die to Kamoji as well. But the Vigilist walked down metal and found
What?
2 kills, and it's a third onto the Montaigne! How does he get it done? You're dead! Just told the other team that they're all dead, and now it'd have to be an ace clutch. It's a 1-on-2 opportunity here for the Vigil. The phone call rings out. Got an Impact to at least get themselves back into sight, though. Impact, both of these barricades work their way through, but you gotta look to your left. There's a player still inside at Customs. The dopamine not accounted for in this position. And Bad Aim will extend us just at least one round further in this match.
After the heroics done from the Vigil, the round still collapses, and Bad Aim stay alive. Broke Boys should have had that one, we'll say, you're dead, to rights. And yet here we are, still on this map of border. We shouldn't be. Let's not beat around the bush on that front. Cancer Crab has also been defaulted to Doc. They did not intentionally select it, but, I mean, they're running Doc-Rook combo. 2/3 of the pharmacy composition, as Korbeck and I noted it. You're only missing the Thunderbird.
Dan. Oh, Dan.
Attackers need to locate and defuse as many bombs as they can.
What? I'm so confused at the statement.
Observer's
by
just
our
yapping.
observer, but
Bomb located by
yeah,
attackers.
it's that time of the night.
Yep.
That time of the night. It's sleepy time. It is actually getting close to bedtime for many of these high schoolers. I'm on the West Coast, so it's not even near my bedtime yet. Although I'm an old man and have to get up early in the morning to work and stuff, all that fun stuff. But the high schoolers, I mean, I hope they've got their homework done. Honestly, Dan, I hope that they've done their homework, because I know if it was me, I wouldn't have it
10
done.
seconds to go.
I mean, this game started, or we started our first game about 6
5
p.m.
seconds
Eastern,
remaining.
give or take. Well, that's when it was scheduled to start. We probably started at like 6:15. So
Yeah,
it's like
Attackers are heading out to
3
defuse the
hours or
bomb.
so after school. If you're playing a sport, you had practice, you're not in a great position trying to do a
4 or 5,
combination
yeah,
of
it's
two.
like track season right now. So if any of these players are in track,
Or for all of you who play regular sports, it's baseball and lacrosse season. Track season. How's that the first thing that comes to your mind?
track. Okay, I did track. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't do track. I didn't run. Trust me, I was not much of a runner. I threw things. There was a big difference. In case you couldn't tell, I was not much of a runner. As Jack and Voodoo Magic both find a kill respectfully, as Jack does end up taking the brunt end of it, but Resource 72 dying early on. The Kaid no longer available. You can't reposition those electric claws, so hopefully they're in the right spots early on. And you also lose the luxury of the Nitro Cell out of the Kaid. So it's a solid pick to start off the round, but then again, those EE1D calls have been really, really strong here by the defense, or by the attack, rather, from bad aim. So you have to question as well, is that too big of a pick against them as well?
It could be, but there's no guarantees on that front. And playing what is a quaternary site, not even top 3 in what's usually selected, you're looking at this
Yeah.
from bad
Totally
aim's
forgot
position
we were
and
here,
saying,
by the way.
yeah, you're looking at this from bad aim's position. They're droning in like, wait, there's a bomb chassis there? How in the world is this selected? T-Trooper's playing a Bravo like it's a regular drone. They have the information out the wazoo. Dokkaebi, they're playing the Zero, and yet they don't have many players to play off of said information, nor dead players to do so, as Jack is just watching the Ace and now the Dokkaebi for some reason. And the Dokkaebi's dead. What?
Oh,
Cancer Crab,
no.
that could be the final nail.
That was a huge pick for bad aim. No one following the Dokkaebi inside at all. Is Cancer Crab, hopefully to not overextend their position here. Looking towards that front door. They've got Z-pings. There's plenty of information, but
Oh, no.
Lunar's not able to handle the SC3000K, and Cancer Crab finds another pick. Over swings, though, this time, finally, someone from the attack will get the kill. And it's bad aim, the Ace, to find one, but T-Trooper dies, and it's all down to the Ace, the support player of Lion, the most positive player on their team, at least as of this moment. But they've got a tall task and tall order ahead of them to keep their team in this match. They Echo Drone
What?
surely to spot someone, but Jactor gets too aggressive, tries to jump out, and gets spotted and dusted by Lion, who will just jump inside of the site and might have the opportunity to get the case down.
Wait, your dead has no idea. He has no idea that that they're already inside. And Lion fights a second. Voodoo Magic is throwing out the final yokai now, and they don't have time to get it over there. Because of the reinforced wall, there's no rotate, there's no way to get it over there in time. The diffuser will go down unperturbed, and Voodoo Magic has no idea where. He has to assume it's still on the other side, but he jumps out for no reason! He ends up fat-fingering the Selma and dies because of it! Comedy of errors and a comedy of mistakes will close out the game. He had him dead to rights. Voodoo Magic, Houdini's in the house, and they escape with a 7-2 victory because of it. He threw something on top of that round to escape alive. Both yokai drones were in his back pocket to the final 30 seconds, I might add. The Ace almost 1v4'd, and I almost had an aneurysm. 7-2 broke, boys. That is a game of all time.
That was something at the very end there, Dan. Both players making mistakes, but one much greater than the other. As Voodoo Magic closes out the series for Broke Boys. And my guess is that win will help them to advance to playoffs tomorrow. I'm not sure how that seeding works out. I don't know if it's like best 2 of each group or whatever it may be. But getting wins help a lot, especially against what are some of the toughest teams in all of North Carolina. for high school Rainbow Six Siege. I'm excited to get into playoffs tomorrow. I think that it's going to be more than thrilling to watch these teams, especially maybe if they're able to take in some of the feedback from today and see how everything pans out. Of course, make sure to check out the VESL.gg site and register if you are a resident of North Carolina and you are below the age of 18. You can participate in some of these standalone tournaments. We got a big prize pool, Dan. I mean,
Yeah.
this is no joke money. $7,500 for PC, $7,500 for console. It doesn't matter what you're on. That's a big heaping wad of cash, especially for young kids, is in the age of like 14 to 18. That's a lot of money. I don't know what I'd do with that in high school.
Yeah. I mean, PC is still closing up around the corner. Console, unfortunately, not being streamed for this one. Next time we iron out some of the more intricate details of Rainbow Six. I mean, this is the first tournament or first event period being run by VESL for Rainbow Six. Same case for Counter-Strike around the corner. Overwatch will see one of its standalone tournaments. They usually play that in regular season. They did at least last semester. But here, that's not the case. They were playing Rocket League, Smash Bros, and Valorant. They're seeing some of these games fall off depending on the season, maybe come back on depending on which semester we're in. I'm liking the diversity of games that VESL's bringing and diversity of competitions. We're seeing regular league and season formats. We're seeing regional competition, even into state finals. By the way, regional competition in 2 separate regions are this weekend. They unfortunately push away Counter-Strike competition, so that'll be rescheduled to a different date. Not confirmed just yet. State finals are the weekend after Memorial Day, so keep an eye on that. It's right before most of North Carolina high schools will go through graduation, so it's nearly perfect timing. And of course, Counter-Strike and Overwatch should be following in weekends after that, but intricate details, as mentioned, still TBD. So go to VESL.gg if you want to find out more. Follow us on our socials if you want to go ahead, check those out. And of course, stick around because we've still got more Rainbow Six headed your way, just not tonight. Go take a break. Go to sleep, I suppose. School's tomorrow, so is Rainbow Six Siege Finals. We'll see you then.